you can see my system is running with 2.8 gigahertz speed along with maybe 4 core, right? Which is okay. In case of a Linux system, if you're having more number of cores, obviously how much cores it might be running on. If you hear about something like supercomputers, do you think how much supercomputers might be having as a core processor? Any idea? If I'm trying to take a supercomputer, how much CPUs might be there? Can anyone go with a guess? Okay, so here you can see this particular site is having top 500 supercomputers in the world is maintained as a list here in this particular website. I'm getting into this site, opening up November 2024 is the latest edition. You can see every year, June and November, they release the updated version. So in this case, November 2024, this year, currently latest one, number 1 spot is by El Captain in United States. You can see how many processors are there. How many processors? 11 million processors. Second one is Frontier, which is having 9 million processors. Again, Aurora 9 million processors. Eagle 2 million processor, 3 million processor. Italy, United States, majority top 4 is by default US, then Italy, then Japan. Again, they do have various parameters when they're trying to measure it. They use different terms in this particular area, right? So on this,
this is a group of servers or it
is one supercomputer.
One super.
Right. So why you are coming in here? Why we are coming in here? If I try to take the statistics, right? Give me the statistics about these supercomputers. In this one, I'm interested in one aspect. Let me take the operating system family, right? According to November 2024, all top 500 supercomputers are running on Linux. None of them are having any other than that. If you go with the operating system category, then you are getting some more details. Then it is giving what is the share. CentOS, major share as a OS. Other things are generic Linux. HP, Cray, Red Hat Enterprise Linux is also having a very good share, along with Cray Linux environment. Again, Ubuntu version, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, not specific to version, Ubuntu 22.04. You can see the share is also they are giving it up. Breakup according to the performance, operating system performance share, right, in generic, along with which OS is dominating. So all these supercomputers, why they are using Linux? Because it is again open source. They can fine tune the required cores according to the requirement. They can run it. So this is the advantage what you are going to get with Linux in general. Right, as more and more people are trying to jump in and trying to develop application, and there are different kind of programs are coming in, and more applications are moving towards cloud. Again, I'm coming to the real-time requirements. What is the real-time requirement today? Your end user needs his data as he needs, or as when he wants. If you are saying your data can be accessible only if you come to office, then only can do it. Most of the banks today will not run. We don't know where is our bank. Most of the things which is there in your fingerprint, with your mobile phone, you'll be able to access it. So the data is no more staying only in the bank server. It is available to the end user. How you are able to make it presented. So more and more applications are becoming what we call it as cloud native. That means the application has to be more agile and data should be accessible by the end users. If you are not able to give them that flexibility what they need, they look for someone who's capable of giving that, simple. From their point of view, end user point of view. So as when we are going into any IT company or any other company, what we are going to say, any other production company also we say, boss, use systems, your productivity will be improved. So at that point in time, we want to make sure our data should be available to the end user. When you're trying to make it up end user available, make it cloud native. If you're trying to make it up cloud native, there is one more thing we have to understand, something called as a 12-factor app, right? Today, a modern application development, most of the applications will follow this particular software design policy, which is coming under something called as 12-factor app, because we want to provide our software as a service. Today, a lot of things are available as a service: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. We generally categorize in the cloud computing. Today, it is extended to any different levels. There are thousands of services are available. Search engine is available as a service, right? AI is available as a service, and a lot of other components are directly available as a service. So when they are trying to provide you that one as a service, how you are going to make it maximum portable, right? When you're trying to make it up, making it more portable across different environments, because today when we're trying to go ahead with the DevOps kind of environment where we want to test, developers are developing, once they develop that particular code, that code we want to put it on testing, then the testing team needs the same infrastructure. Once they test it on the testing environment, then the same environment I need to put it on maybe quality control, staging, pre-production, production, all these things has to be noticed. That means the same code I have to deploy it in different environments. So if it is possible, how I can convert that one into code? That's where we are coming in as infrastructure as a code, configuration data as a code. We want to make it up as a code rather than doing it everything with the script and modify the script according to the environment. Better than that, can I create that one and use it? So for that, we need a portability between the execution environments. And suitable development for modern cloud platforms. Need of servers and system administration. Actually, it is moving away or taking away our activity also. But anyhow, it is going to stay for some more time. Minimize the divergence and make sure the development is being continuously, deployment is also done. Development, between the development and production, make sure it is continuously deployed. So for that, they are coming up with the methodology, which is called as 12-factor methodology. According to this, what they are suggesting, have a proper code base, make sure the dependencies are properly done, store configuration in the environment itself. Based on your environment, you can deploy it, backup service, build, release. So what we are trying to make it up, make sure that dev production parities are maintained, keep development, staging, production as similar as possible, so that the error will not repeat or do something. That means the infrastructure, what you are trying to do it, whether it is for dev or production or staging, you should be able to have the same code to work across. So anything is possible. Don't do it manual work, make it as a code. So in that particular activity, the 12-factor app, there is one good Red Hat article. I think if you people find time, please go through these two articles. Especially this one is good, right? How that's why whenever you're trying to do configuration settings also, when you're trying to create these Ansible codes, whatever you're trying to do it, in best practice, you will keep it in version control system in Git like, right? So that from the Git version control has been done, whether you want to put it onto production, staging, quality assurance, or whatever you want to have it, you can deploy it any environment. That's why we are trying to convert everything into a code. If anything is there, create a dependency chart and try to work with that. Make sure the configurations has been given in a file and try to environment according to the environment run it. So this particular area is giving us overall output, where we are moving towards, why we have to make it up everything as declarative, convert into code so that manual intervention is reduced or manual errors are avoided and as much has been automated. That's where this particular area where we are trying to move on to something called as cloud native app development or deployment. So I'm making it up today's reference one, which is 12-factor app. Another reference, larger perspective, what I'm trying to show it, right? What we are going to finally deploy using Ansible, maybe in our core activity. When you're trying to do that, where we are aiming towards, we want to make sure or the code, whatever you're trying to run, it should run across multiple environments. We will see that one today or now as we are moving in. So on that way, the Linux mechanism is giving you the flexibility and more people adapting because of the open source nature, and companies as today want to do cost optimization, then they will slowly move into more and more Linux operating system and make it a cloud native based activity. That means the application should reach the end user as quick as possible. That's why the cloud service is also trying to give you automation in that area. Because the moment if you're running one server, the charge is different compared to the 20 servers. Obviously, time to time, based on my workload, I want to adjust that and I want to pay only for that. So we want to have infrastructure as a service. So how I am going to provide it? So there also I need some tool which can be my infrastructure and applications, whatever I'm trying to run it, converted into code and deploy it. Because software is already code. They are having best practices already implemented. They know they're already working with multiple users and version control, everything they're doing it already there. How that can be brought into operation side. In that operation side, majority of the thing we are trying to do is day one plus implementation only. That is, normally this is mutable implementation. There might be a change. I wanted to accept the change and do that particular change in much more smoother way. That's where Ansible is coming in. On that, we are trying to go ahead and try to understand what Ansible is capable of doing. So it is coming under the automation part of your operating activity. So when you want to do this one, how I'm going to convert that into code, yesterday we slightly discussed on that area, and avoid human error. And what Ansible is going to do. It is a simple automation language that can perfectly describe your IT infrastructure using playbooks. We will be going into most probably today second part into playbooks, but first we'll understand what are the other hiccups. Then Ansible is a powerful automation task tool. It is simple, powerful, and it is also agentless, right? As we are going to go ahead and see in this area. So it is from the development to production. Ansible can be placed it with the appropriate playbooks, and on that way we have to understand what are the components are on the Ansible. Yesterday we installed it, we just typed the version. So Ansible is having multiple components. We will be doing it one by one. Ansible is having something called as inventory. We will start with that one today. And Ansible, using the modules, we will be able to connect and manage the target host. An appropriate API should be there so that to connect with the appropriate deployment area, we will be having or using an API, and plugins also required to connect to that and work with that. So there are different components we might be using it when we are going through that Ansible activity. So for that, what we'll do, we'll go ahead and try to deploy Ansible. We have done it. Let's go back to our machine implementation. So what we are going to do today, yesterday we started with creating the user accounts, right? Or when I clear the screen, yesterday what we have done, we created DevOps user account connected to that particular remote machine with the DevOps account. Yesterday we created DevOps account, right? In the target machine in node 1. From node 1 we logged in, from master we logged into node 1 and node 2, created a user account called as DevOps, and from student user account we made to these two machines logging in as a key based authentication or passwordless authentication via SSH. We tested that one also, it is working fine. Now let's go ahead and try to understand some more commands, understand that, get into Ansible, then work with Ansible related activity. So for that, what I'll do, I'll go back to our machine, right? So if I try to type who am I, yesterday we used it, right? Who am I? So it is going to give me what is my current user account, current username which I logged in with, right? So let us say I wanted to find out one more thing called as ID. The moment I type ID, it is giving me what is my user ID. Can anyone tell me what are the user ID details? Anything you people know about user ID? What is the purpose of this one? What it is doing? It is logged in with the user ID 1000 by default. And if I log in with some other user account in a remote machine, let me log into remote machine by SSH on using DevOps user account @ node 1. Right? I logged into remote machine. Okay, logged in. Now here I'm typing ID. It is giving me the user ID as 1001. So anyone knows about what is this 1001, 1000 some number? I'm logging in as root, and root 123 is my password. So here I'm typing ID. Here UID is 0.
Yeah, it's a unique ID assigned to each user's Shajan.
Okay.
Usually like root will be a 0, and for the users it will start with 500,000 actually.
Okay.
It's a unique identifier.
Okay. So in a Linux operating system, normally as I already pointed out, root user will be having always ID as 0, right? Then starting from 1 to 999 is reserved for 1 to actually 1 to 199 or 200, I believe. 1 to 199, you can say. Red Hat has taken for its services. Red Hat reserved these particular IDs. Red Hat reserved, or Red Hat is reserved on its version, right? And above, after this particular number, let us say 200 to 999, especially given for service accounts, or whichever you are installing, the applications will be creating their own related services, and 1000 onwards will be available for user accounts. This is general practice. From Red Hat 7 onwards, this is the standard. Red Hat before 7, it was 500. Up to Red Hat 6, I believe it was maintained as 500. Red Hat 7 onwards, it has been given as 0 is by default root in all the Linux or Unix versions, I believe. I don't know about much on Unix, but so I'm using the word believe, right? So 0 and 1 to 199 from Red Hat 7 onwards, they reserved it for root Red Hat related services, and 200 to 99 is typically for the applications whatever you're trying to install along with the service. If that application might be creating its own user account for that service running, so that will be having its service accounts along with 1000 above will be started with that. So whenever I'm trying to create any user account, it will be 1000 above. It will go in that series. Unless otherwise I'm not disturbing the default value. So in that case, we do have these user accounts. If you want to view what are the user accounts, cat etc fastwd will show you in this one what are the user accounts you're seeing, right? Maybe from here, if you are able to see root 00, bin 1, daemon 2, adm 3, lp, sync, shutdown, 7, mail, operator, games, you can see all these are nobody 65534. It is used for some other service. TSS again 59, 81, 998 is used by some other application. Apache, cockpit using 996. So depending on that particular requirement, they might be creating it, and mostly non-system created or user account created will be in the bottom lines. On that case, student and DevOps is having 1000 and 1001. Clear? This is the user ID. So let me Control D, come out of this one, right? Control D again. So we type some command and try to find out what is the user ID, right? CLS is not there. Control L, CLS in Windows. Okay. So here we logged in and we are trying to execute a particular command. Let me try to execute this command and tell me what it is going to do. So I'm typing SSH, right? And node 1, right? So what it is trying to do, it is trying to connect to that remote machine as student user account, because I have not mentioned which user want to log in here, right? So I would like to use it, and after end of this particular SSH, I am typing a specific command. I want to execute a command, let us say in this case ID, and if I enter this particular SSH command connecting to node 1, when we have not set for the student account any passwordless authentication. Student account, when I'm connecting to the remote machine student account, I want to log in with the password. So I'm typing student, enter. Now it connects to that remote machine, and in that remote machine also student ID is 1000. And I'm changing here DevOps @node 1. Now what will happen? This SSH command will run as DevOps user on node 1. See what is the difference here. Now this time, since he enabled passwordless authentication mechanism, the user account has got executed using the SSH key yesterday what we have done, and it is able to give me the DevOps user ID. You're getting the difference, right? So one command executed as a normal user, the second command used as a targeted user. That means equivalent to run as what we use it in Windows, right? I want to run this particular program as that user. If you run without user ID, it is logged in and run as that user, right? When I target it with the target ID, then whatever the command has been executed on that machine, whether it is coming from that machine, maybe I would like to use one more command, host name -i. So this command is connecting to that machine and giving me that machine's IP address, right? If I try to connect with node 2, I'll be getting node 2's IP. So that means I am using SSH itself to execute a command on the remote machine, get me only the reply. Again, this particular command says connect to the remote machine using which username and password. This is the username. Password already has been set with the SSH key, and execute on that remote machine. Whatever the command has been executed on that, this command is not executed locally. It is running on the remote machine, and I'm getting reply only saying this is the IP address. For example, the same command, I want to know what is the uptime, right? We do have what is that uptime command, right? How much time my system is running. I'm able to get it up. It is running for the last 1 hour, 11 minutes. Right, what is the time, and I'm getting the load average and other things from the remote machine. If I want to type what is the host name of that remote machine, host name, I'm getting the remote machine's host name. The idea what I'm trying to do in this SSH command, I'm executing a command which is connecting to that machine. I'm getting back reply, right? Only the reply. If you don't type this one, you want to log into that remote machine and work with that machine console, right? I logged into the master. From there, I said SSH login to remote machine. Then I connected to the remote machine. There I'm working on it. So currently I'm working as DevOps user on that remote machine. Then whatever the commands I want to have it up, I can type it there. So sometimes you may connect to a remote machine and do a lot of other activity, then log into the remote shell and work with that shell because you want to execute umpteen number of commands and you want to do a lot of activity. No, I want to execute only one command. So there is no need to connect to the shell, then do it. With one liner, you can execute the command. This command executes on the remote machine, you're getting back the reply. Got the point clear? Any doubt?
Good.
All right. So shall I go to the next point? This is only the concept what you have to understand. Okay. Via SSH, there can be, we need not to always log into the remote machine, work with the command. You can execute a command directly with one liner. You will get only the result directly in your local console. If you're able to get that point, my job is done.
Yeah, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Is it applicable for only one command, or like if you want to type 2 or 3 commands, is it possible?
I
Okay.
think you can do it with a semicolon, right?
Ampersand. Semicolon, yes, I think semicolon we can do. Control D. Let me execute from here. You're looking for like this, right? Uptime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Got it?
Okay, yeah, got it. Yeah.
So if it is a one-liner, go ahead with the one-liner. Okay, right. So in our case, we are able to connect and do that activity. So now let me go ahead and try to get into this concept is required for our current activity before moving into Ansible related activity. So far, this is only the conceptual because this is the core concept being used inside Ansible. Ansible's core functionality is based on this particular SSH logic. Okay, so that we'll be able to get that idea. So now we are good to go with our activity. So prerequisite is almost done. We installed Ansible. If you want to know what is this Ansible version, Ansible -- version is showing you what is the current version you installed it in your machine, right? Which is core 2.14 along with config blah 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 different details, right? And in this one, I would like to have it up this particular main first file. We are trying to work with something called as Ansible config file. This particular configuration file is going to play a vital role for majority of our configuration. We'll be able to do it here. How Ansible has to behave, that can be controlled from here. Ansible is a core exe, only one program. After that, it needs a module set, right? Along with some configuration settings. It also needs Python, right? Along with Jinja and library YAML file. All those things are there, but the core file which is going to be ansible.cfg file, right? So this CFG file is having various parameters, right? Based on these parameters, what you are mentioning, it is going to work with that parameter set. Okay, if I go ahead and trying to log in as by default, if I'm trying to use cat /etc/ansible, right? Ansible.cfg, right? I'm typing this one. It is giving me as a regular user account. You can see here it is giving me what since Ansible 2.12, what we are using is 2.14, right? Since 2.12, what Ansible in what before 2.12, what will happen? Ansible CFG will be having a lot of configuration fields, a lot of changes or a lot of things will be there with the default settings. Now what they are saying, since Ansible is keep on adding a lot of modules, what we have done, we don't directly create all the files by default. If you want, you create it according to your requirement. To generate example config file with the disabled settings, you can do like this. Also, you can now have more complete file including existing plugins. Because it is having plugins along with the modules. If you try to go with Ansible modules, we saw this is Ansible module segment. Let me try to have it up somewhere. What are the modules and plugins? What they're trying to say? There are a lot of modules and plugins. Let me list Ansible all modules. Right. If you click on this particular all modules in the list, you can see these are the modules which is available. Maybe I think a list group wise they have done it somewhere. Here it is alphabetical. Based on module index, we'll pick it up. And see these are the different modules what Ansible capable of supporting. So each and every module might be having its own different settings and different configuration details. Depending on your modules and plugins, what you're trying to install, you modify only those data instead of having all the default values created. So what Ansible has moved in, they said if you want to get the complete list with the appropriate plugins also, create with this command. Right? Yesterday we worked with just Ansible command. Our Ansible version only we used it. Today we are going to go ahead and add one more command in our list, which is going to be Ansible config. In it, and we can find out what are the changes are here. On that certain important files only we will create and work with that because it is having a lot of entries. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this particular command, which is there in Ansible default file, Ansible cn config file. I'm taking this particular file. In this file, I'm trying to go ahead and on that one, it has been mentioned. If you want to create a complete file with the default setting disabled, you could do this one, right? Example config file. If you want to get full complete file, you can type this command Ansible config init disabled all, whichever the location you are in, copy. Currently, my working directory pwd, my current working directory in home student. In this directory, what I will do, I'll create this particular file. Right click, paste. I wanted to say this one, maybe the initial configuration file because it is we have not done anything. So I want to call this one as initial config ansible.cfg. I'm giving name on a particular purpose. I'll reveal it. What is the why we are creating like this. So this is the initial file. Yes.
Yeah, you are trying to see in this. There are two things, right? We have to enable Ansible and then initiate the enabling, and then you are mentioning as disablement. So okay, I a little confused. Can you explain a little bit more?
Okay. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to see. When you're trying to go ahead with the any Ansible, right? When you're trying to go ahead with the Ansible related activity. So what Ansible is doing when you're trying to create Ansible config file, this is again the latest modification. Otherwise, by default, in this location, they will create certain commands with the default settings. Default settings, certain components enabled, certain components disabled. So like settings, these settings, they will automatically set some value there. Some value has been removed of kind of. I'll show you to the example again, right? What they have done it, certain things which are enabling, disabling on that case, what they have said instead of having, see Ansible today, we are using it for network related area or cloud related area or your regular Linux operating system manageable area. So you might be having some plugins has to be turned off when you're using only a network part. The other modules is not required, right? Or you need not enable that component which is going to slow down your performance. So on that case, what Ansible has done it, Instead of making it a generic configuration for everyone, they said we will create a configuration file, all the settings is disabled, right? So that this particular component is disabled. Maybe for that activity, what I'll try to launch one more command. Okay, let me try to have it up. Vim /etc / some configuration file. We'll take it up. What is that file? We'll take. What is that? Login defs. Okay. So this particular file. So here there is this hashtag is there, right? Certain components fail delay, whether it is now disabled or enabled.
That's disabled.
That's disabled. Any file, in a Linux configuration file, in any file, if any component has been hash marked, that means don't use it. That setting we are not doing it. Go with the default behavior. If you remove this particular mark, then it becomes enabled. Okay, like that there are a lot of settings. If you want to enable lock, unlock, fail, enable, or you want to do some settings. So these different settings, last log and unit UID maximum, and you can see there are these different settings which has been currently working with the default disabled setting, right? Working with the default at the same time, this setting is not enabled. If I want to enable it, I'll say remove it. That means that line becomes now active, or this line becomes active, right? So we do have different settings, and on those kind of different settings, if you don't know what we are trying to do and what Linux on Ansible part, they said there are thousands of settings are there. All the settings, what we will not enable it by default. We will keep it disabled. If you want, you enable that setting. So on that way, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to create an initial configuration file by making all the settings disabled for all the modules. The T is for modules. For all the modules, disable all the settings, including all plugins and other details. Generate me a file. If I open this particular file, it is now generating that file. If I now try to open up that Vim initial right config file, you can see these are the different settings which are there. Right, no cow faults. Right, no color faults. Home folder.ansible. So these are the different settings what they created it and made it disabled. The semicolon also conveys that it has been disabled kind of. Right. So these many lines. How many lines of code? You can see it is keep on running. 190 line, only 20%. Right. These many settings are there. No need to panic. Which is required most of our requirement. We will be able to do that one. So these many lines are there. Okay. So in this particular case, you can see there is a segment called as privilege escalation. This particular area, what we are trying to do is, or the file which is trying to work with the concept called as .ini file kind of implementation. Each and every section will be having a section header, which is starting with a square bracket. Then key is equal to value or value what you want to mention it. This is how the standard. According to that, let us say I want to become as a root user. We know the pseudo privileges, right? You want to become a user of that user, then we can say become is equal to by default. There is no false. If you make this one as a true, it will become option will be enabled. Whether you want to ask the password, true or false. In this case, they are disabling those settings and giving it to you with these settings. If you want, you can make it ready or modify according to your requirement, then fine tune it. Otherwise, leave it as it is. So on that way, they are creating a file and giving it to you, right? So I'm not doing any changes in this file. All right. So let us assume.
This command will disable all the existing modules and create a new file. And whenever we want to use those features, we need to enable them and then start using them, right?
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
So they are creating a default settings file. You start with that, right? And you start, instead of enabling all of them and giving it to you, they disable all of them and give it to you. You fine tune it according to your requirement.
Got it.
Okay. So on that way, when I'm trying to do this one, as I execute this particular command, I'm not doing any changes in the file, right? Understand one more concept. And now I'm trying to type Ansible version, right? From where the configuration file is coming. etc, observe the path, etc, Ansible, ansible.cfg. This is the default file. If you open that file, they are saying if this file is not complete setting, if you want to do, you generate. Ansible has removed the responsibility, it is given to you directly, isn't it? They said, if you want to go with the previous versions of this one, go to this URL. There you will be able to find out example and Ansible config file. That is one way of doing it. Okay. But here, they don't have any setting by default. They said, if you want, create it, go ahead and with this one. Otherwise, we will work with the default behavior. As per the default behavior, there are certain settings we might be doing it. But in this case, I don't have anything. So what I would like to do it, I would like to use this Ansible config file in real time. This is for the system wide setting. In this system, anyone logs in, if they type ansible.version, it will take the configuration settings from here. Let us say in real time, the same Ansible system used by two different team people or two different requirements. I am logging in as a DevOps support engineer. I will be creating DevOps related things. The same system will be used by one more person who's logging in. He'll be creating his own settings. Third person might be working on the same Ansible machine. He'll be having his own settings. So whether a user can customize their own settings or not. So for that, what Terraform says, what Ansible says, you create a file which is ending with .ansible.cfg, correct? But if you want to create from your user profile point of view, we will give you that privilege. In this case, what I'll do, I'm just creating I'm not just creating a blank file. touch.ansible.cfg. I have not created anything inside that file. Right? Let me go ahead and try to type Ansible version. Now, what is the configuration file? It is going to use by default.
So the one you just created now.
So that means when you're having two Ansible files, one which is coming from default location as per the path. Let me go and type the path here. Right? Ansible config files. Conflict. In case any conflict comes up. By default, etc Ansible, Ansible.cfg, right? First thing, first priority. This is typically system-wide setting, right? This is system-wide. For anyone is not having anything else, then this will be by default the least privilege what we can say. Otherwise, on the user's home directory, that's why I'm using guild or users home directory, home dir. In our case, it is /home/student/.ansible.cfg. File will be given high priority compared with Ansible.cfg. So if you are having some settings which has been mentioned here, and you are making according to your customization, if you are doing some other setting, this one will be given more priority than this one. Clear? What are the setting we are going to do? We'll do it a bit later. Yes. Yes, Abhishek. Yes,
Yeah, Pradeep.
Yes.
See, may I know like why is the reason it is taking the latest one as the high priority? Any specific reason behind it, or
yes, there is a reason, right? So let us say Pradeep is working for a particular project, right? And you will do the configuration settings according to your requirement. I am also using the same system, same Linux machine, remotely logging in or somehow I'm connecting into it. Then I need my own settings, right? I might be using a different inventory settings. I might be using a different username and password kind of settings. So I don't need your settings because you are working for a different project. I am working for a different project on the same machine. So per user level, we might need on Ansible configuration settings. You're getting this one. This is user level, right? This is per user can be configured, which is with the Ansible.cfg. Now let me go into one more area. I'm trying to let us say I am the only person, but I want to work with multiple projects. I'm I'm working with Kimberley Clark project according to TCS, one of the largest one, right? And I'm also working for Air India project. So for Air India project, I want to work with different configuration settings compared with Kimberley Clark project. Or I am going to develop. I am the Ansible engineer who is going to give for dev team, production team, pre-staging team. So what I'll do, I'll create make dir. I'm trying to create a directory called dev, right? cd dev. Now my current working directory is dev project or dev area. Here I wanted to create, let us say, or touch. Before creating that, let me show you Ansible hyphen version. Now from where it will take? I am the same user. Student user is trying to type Ansible version. Which configuration file it has to take?
.ansible cfg.
Right. Okay. So I'm doing that. Right. Touch. I'm creating here Ansible.cfg. This time it is not .ansible. In the previous one, the file is starting with .ansible.cfg. Here just Ansible.cfg. Enter. Now again, what do you think will be the priority?
It will be the latest created one.
If there is a file in the current folder, current directory or folder, right? Whatever the term you want to use it up, folder. If there is an Ansible.cfg, that will be given high priority than any other file. That means for a dev project, I want to use this setting. Let us say I'm coming out of this directory, going to another directory, make directory. Let us say I want to use this one for production, prod, cd, prod, right? ls. There is no file. Again, Ansible version. Default, where it will go? The user's home directory, because that has been given high priority. If I create a file locally here with the name Ansible.cfg, that will be given high priority than the home file. Got it clear? It is now taking it from production.
So basically,
yes,
like for every folder, like we can create one Ansible configuration file and we can use that.
for that particular project specific area.
Yeah, understood.
So, but it is taking a default one, right? When you are coming out of the folder,
Yes.
when we are checking for the Ansible version, it goes for .ansible, right?
Yes.
So,
If you-
can you explain in detail what is the difference of these two?
Okay, let us say I'm trying to work on a particular specific project which needs a different settings. Then I'll create Ansible file there. Otherwise, I'll use default. Okay. If I don't specify on the current working directory, there is no Ansible.cfg. What Ansible will do, we'll go to the user's home directory. Is there any file called as .ansible.cfg? If it is there, it will take that priority and work with that, because we are going to set some of our Ansible details there. We will set one by one and understand that one. So for that, what is the importance of Ansible.cfg? Priority is what we are trying to understand. So when you're trying to have these particular Ansible files, actually we are trying to do, right, by default, it will look for this file.
Shahjahan,
Yes.
in the remaining lines, we can see that it is pointing to .ansible, right? Like that configuration search module and the Python version, all. It still points to the path with the .ansible, right? Why is it so? Not like in the
This
Ansible
is for
collection.
module.
Yeah,
This is
module
for
and module and the Ansible collection location too.
Okay.
Over there also it is pointing to .ansible, right?
Yes. Yes. Correct.
And
So
the
this
other
is for-
one, yeah.
Yes.
The
Go
other
ahead.
one, user share Ansible, that is default one from the original Ansible. Is it like that?
Yes. Yes. See, by default, what it will do, it will try to utilize this file under etc
Okay.
Ansible, correct?
Yes.
If this file, I don't want to have these settings to be taken effect into my activity. As a user, I want to do it, so I'll be taking this file.
Okay.
I'll create a file called as .ansible.cfg. No, for my project on my current directory, I need a different file. I don't want to touch this and modify this. I don't want to touch this and modify this. I want to create one more file and work for that particular project specific activity here.
Okay.
At that time, on a present working directory, you create a file called as ansible.cfg. No, only for that runtime I want to create. Then there is one more environment variable also you can set. Export command, ansible underscore config. You can set one different configuration. This is the least priority, highest priority. But we are talking up to level 2, right? These 3 different levels we can do. Why I am saying that, as we have not yet opened our Ansible file. Once we open up our Ansible file, or config file, then we will try to set something. Then we'll get to know what is the requirement and why we are doing like that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
The point what I'm trying to say, by default, it will search in these 3 locations. First, it will search here. If it is not there, it will search here.
The next
if it is not there, it will search. Take this.
in the default. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Got the idea?
Yes.
Right. So now let's go ahead. Yes, sir.
So the configuration file that gets chosen depends on the path from where we are executing the commands, or
Yes, perfectly correct. That is what it is doing.
Okay.
From where you are executing it, in that location, it will look for. Okay. Now let's try to have it ls hyphen
Shahjahan,
al. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what if we have like 2 configuration files in the same directory?
Okay. Can you create 2 configuration files with the same name, exactly same name, the same location? Is that possible?
No, it's not possible.
It's already removed that point. Now I'm coming to that next area only. Here in this directory, we do have this ls hyphen al, right? Or that we created .ansible file here. ls hyphen al, right? Hyphen missing. Okay. Here already we created .ansible, right? .ansible.cfg file. It is locally available on the user's home directory. Okay. Currently I'm in user's home directory. If I try to create touch, let me again show you what is the current version it shows. Ansible hyphen version. What it is trying to do, it is trying to take the home directory default file, right? Now I'm trying to touch. I'm creating in the home directory of the user itself, ansible.cfg. Which one will be given priority? One is ansible.cfg, the other one is .ansible.cfg.
Which is creating now. We're going to create, that is going to priority.
Okay, let's go ahead and get it. What is the output? What is the output now?
Ansible.cfg, which is
Yes.
greater leads.
Yes. So first
Yes,
priority.
one quick question here. Like,
Yes.
if you don't have Ansible.cfg and .ansible.cfg under student, you say to pick that from etc Ansible, right?
Yes.
On the root. If student doesn't have that root permission, how will it pick? It won't pick, I guess, right?
No, by default, the user will be having read privileges there. That's why I'm able to view that also.
Okay.
We cannot modify that.
Okay, we can't modify, but it will be used by read.
Yes. So ansible.cfg, I'm removing both files now. Okay. Again, now I'm trying to type ansible.version. What it will do? Where it has gone to?
Yeah, etc Ansible. Got it.
Okay.
But when you want to play run a playbook from this user, and if it won't pick it, right? It only reads that. We cannot modify it, correct?
But that's what he cannot modify, but it can read now.
Okay.
Based on the settings, whatever has been mentioned, it will work with that.
Okay.
He cannot modify because he's not having the privilege to modify there.
Got it.
Okay.
Yes, Shahjahan, I can see
Yes.
in the output you mentioned Ansible collection location. It still connects to student. Under student, there is a .ansible is also there, right? The collections.
Yes. That is Ansible folder.
The folder which you already created, or
No. It is installation has been taken. It will look for these areas. ls hyphen al. Right. Here,
Yeah.
or you finding it out any directory. Right.
Yeah.
That is during the installation, or it has created it by default. That's it. It is
Oh,
just hidden folder. It will look for the
Right.
collections in that area.
yeah, got it.
It is a folder. What we are trying to talk about is a file, ansible.cfg file, right?
Okay.
So clear screen. So now what I would like to do, I would like to go ahead and send a cd into dev folder, right? We'll start like a real time. In this one, I do have a dev folder with this ansible.cfg. Okay, this particular ansible.cfg, as of now, we don't have any setting, right? As of now, we have not done any setting in this one. It is a blank ansible.cfg file. Nothing is there in that particular file. So we are go ahead and edit this particular file according to our requirement. And in our previous case, we saw we have created a file, right? Ls, it is in dev cd double dot, right? We also worked with a file called as vim init file, right? In this one, there are a lot of settings, as I told you, around more than 1000 lines plus, right? In this one, let's start with bare minimal things which is required. Then we start. After that, we can learn a lot of other areas. But first thing I want to start with this section. This is working with the default section. So what I'm going to do, I wanted to edit that particular file. Which file I want to edit? Vim. And after, let me go to the dev folder, cd dev, right? Vim ansible.cfg. In this one, I would like to start with the initialization part, right? Square bracket defaults. First section, what we are going to use is something called as defaults, right? This is working with like this one. You can see by default, Ansible will issue warning if it is received. Action warnings by default true. This is the first setting. So it is having section header called as defaults, right? In this one, there are a lot of other settings. What I am interested in is one setting called as inventory, right? Enter next. You can see by default, when you're trying to create or manage Ansible, Ansible needs a file called as inventory file. That is the target system. Which machines you want to manage? As a control node, I want to have the manageable nodes list, right? So what are the managed nodes? That will be called as inventory. By default, what is the path? It will look for a file called as etc host. Okay. or we have to create an inventory. Inventory is equal to etc. What is the file you want to create? We can give that name. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this particular keyword inventory is equal to, and I'll say inventory is equal to, I want to create my dev inventory. So I want to call this dev inventory ini. Normally this is an initialization file format. Normal ini files will have like this format only. Section header key is equal to value. That's why we call this one as ini, or I can say dev inventory dot ini, dev inventory dot ini. For production, I might be having production inventory. For staging, I might be having staging inventory. What is inventory? Is list of machines which you want to manage it. You're getting the idea? I've not done anything else. I just created a config file with the defaults entry, which is going to point to this one. Once I know this is the entry which we are going to make it up, then we can start working on it. So for the dev, to save typo, I'm just making it up dev.ini. One simple file, escape, write and quit. So what is that? I have to create inside that dev.inventory file. So I have to now create a file called as touch dev.ini, right? Because according to our inventory file or ansible.cfg, we said what are the machines you are going to manage it. That machine list, I have given it in dev.ini file. That's what the configuration says. So what are the contents in dev.inventory? If I try to open up dev.ini, I should have some content which is going to give me the list of systems. So how to create that list of systems? Is there any possibility or template? And if you go here, you can see there is already some file with this name /etc/ansible host file, right? Is there a possibility I can view that file? So what I'll do, I'll escape this part. I'm coming out of the default file, trying to cat etc ansible and host. There is a file already there, inventory file. If I open it, then they're giving me some examples. In this one, this is the default Ansible host file. According to this default value, it should be live in this Ansible host file. Comments begin with hash character. Blank lines are ignored. Group of hosts can be delimited by. So you can see they are having a list of files which you can give it like this. Okay. In my case, I wanted to create like that. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and open my Vim editor, dev.ini. In this one, you can give like this insert or key in value, and you can type node 1, node 2. Maybe in my server requirement, I wanted to create, and this is in general, you are not grouped it anywhere, right? It is node 1, node 2. That's it. You are given to system name. Can I give IP address? Yes, we can give it up. Let us say 10.0.5.1. It is again IP base we can do, or I can create something because it is INA file format again. Here also we can create a group. Let us say I want to create web servers. I'm creating a group of web servers. In this one, I want to call this one as web server web1.example.com. Maybe I want to call this as dev web server. I want to say dev1.example.com. This machine is not there. dev2.example.com. Maybe in my project, I'm going to manage these machines, and it is having a DB servers, right? I can create a section header. Again, here also I can say dev db1.example.com, right? Dev db2 server.example.com. So I can create like these groups, escape, write and quit. So what I'm saying here, first file cat ansible.cfg. I said whenever Ansible is trying to work on inventory, it has to look for the inventory location in this file, right? In that file, I have created something.
dev.ini is compulsory, like it's we can give any name.
It is not mandatory. In Linux, normally we don't follow any standard, right? And extension not required.
Okay.
INI to just visualize, okay, this is INI file format.
Okay.
It can, without extension also you can keep, it can be any format. That's it. So inside this, it should have maybe one empty lines and inventories, right? So what I'm going to do in this particular case, what I've done, I've created for a dev team or dev related projects. I do have only these systems I want to manage it. So I can quickly get those details and manage it from here. Okay, using this particular dev component itself. Okay, you're getting the idea? Any doubt in this particular part?
Shahjahan,
Yes.
Instead of directly going and creating the host file in ansible.host, we are creating one directory and creating the host file in the directory.
For my dev project, I'm creating dev folder as one folder because all my dev related project details I want to keep it in this folder.
Okay.
Okay.
After that, in the configuration file, we are going to change the inventory path, and then
Because I don't want to use the default path.
Okay.
By default, where it will go? It will go to etc somewhere, right?
Yeah.
It is going to etc Ansible host file. I don't want to use that file. I'm creating my own file which is going to be called as dev.ini or dev inventory, whatever you want to call it as. Okay.
Okay.
And inside that one, I gave these details. Okay. So when I'm trying to work with Ansible related commands, I can quickly get these details. For example, in this case, I wanted to use Ansible, and now only I'm completing the actual whole activity. I want to use an inventory file called as dev.ini, right? And I want to get all the lists, right? Which all the lists I want to get it, hyphen list hyphen host. This command will give me all the files in that particular list. That means this is how the Ansible will look in. When I'm trying to execute my command, let us say I want to deploy web servers, or I want to deploy DB servers. I want to patch all these servers. So when I'm going to say all, right, what Ansible will look in, I'm mentioning specifically dev.ini file. So Ansible inventory, which inventory file it has to read, and what segment it has to read, all the segment, and give me only the list of hosts. This is the command what I'm trying to use it up after creating the config file. You're getting the idea? Or totally bouncer. We'll now break into exercises. This is better, right?
I got the point. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So
Shahjahan,
yes,
so these were just the host servers list, right?
yes,
You
host
mentioned
entries.
what you mentioned.
Yes. Which are the machines are going to be controlled by this machine?
Which are the machines should be controlled by the master machine?
Yes,
Is that
master
right?
machine. Yes. According to Dev project.
So it can be like if you have 50 servers, so in the development side you are supporting only for 10 servers in that, so we'll be listing only 10 here, and another 10
Maybe
is
you put it, yes, maybe
providing for the production.
Yes. Maybe create one more folder for production and keep work with the production. You're getting the idea?
Yeah.
Right. Let me try to have it up. If I don't mention this dev.ini, what will happen? It will by default take the information from the ansible.cfg, and it is also giving the same list, because when I mentioned ini inventory file, it is exactly I'm saying use this file. I might be creating one more file. As you said, you want to create one more file. I'm creating one more file for production. Prod.inventory. Let us say production inventory. I want to create a prod ini. Right. In this one, I do have machines like let us say production server prod1.example.com. Right. .com. And I do have www.myserver.com. Right. And I might be having my target.server.com. All these are I'm just typing some friendlier name. Let us say 10.0.0.1, 10.0.0.100. These are my production servers. Right. Escape. Right. Quit. I have not grouped them. I just typed what are the production servers as a list. Now I'm trying to use the Ansible instead of dev.ini. This time what I'll use give me the list of systems which are there in production.ini. You're getting the idea, right? So I can keep in the same location multiple files, no problem. Because all of them are individual inventory files.
So if you go for Ansible all hyphen list, it will list out everything. Is that right?
No. In this case, what's happening? If I try to type without mentioning the file, here is the host pattern. What we call it as host pattern. Here I'm removing this part. If I don't specify this, what do you think we will get the list?
You should get all, right?
We'll get both the list.
Both the list, I think it should get.
It will get from the Ansible configuration file. What is the host?
Okay. In the Ansible.cfg, what we mentioned it inventory. Dev dot, right?
It will be from the dev only.
It has to take only from the dev, because by default it has been configured to pick up only from dev, because Ansible.cfg says inventory file you have to take it from here only.
Okay.
You're getting the idea?
Shahjahan, if we have both the entries in config file, what is the case? Because like based on the requirement, we may use dev or like sometimes we may use prod. So can we make two entries in the config file?
Come on, you test it out. Tell me what is the result you are getting. One. Second one, what we are trying to do it in real time. Normally we don't touch this inventory file. Once you create it, only for major time modification we come and touch this part. Otherwise, it is directly rolling out kind of mechanism only.
So it's like a one-to-one. Shahjahan.
One to many is also possible. I believe it is possible. I think we have to test it out. So for this, for the current time, what do you people do? I would like to have you people to start with this particular logic and do this one. So what do you do? Task. Instead of too much of theory is also not good. Suddenly it will become bouncer, right? So task 1 of the day or today, create a folder, right? A specific folder, some name, maybe dev is okay. If you are okay with dev, right? Create a folder called dev and create ansible.cfg, right? With inventory pointing to dev.ini file, right? This is step number 1. Update or create dev.ini file with what is that? Web servers and DB servers. That is the task. So you populate and come out with some result and tell me whether you are able to do that one. And you should be running getting those entries using the command Ansible without mentioning the inventory file. It should be able to give you that detail of systems, all the systems, right? In Ansible hyphen or all Ansible all hyphen list hyphen host should be able to give you the entries what you made it in this particular dev ini should be able to give that. Clear? Have you got it or totally confused?
So Shahjahan, in dev.ini file, I can give master node and then manage node, right?
Yes,
control node.
yeah.
As per our real-time scenario, I can give.
No, I bring it as a real-time bit later. Just hold on.
Okay, fine. So
Just give
I can
dev
make
so
an entry like whatever.
Yes, whatever entry. See whether you're able to get the list. That's it.
Okay, fine.
Shahjahan, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Yesterday I joined a bit late and I forgot the credentials to log in into the lab.
Okay, the credentials has been mentioned in this particular entry itself.
Okay.
Right, in this what is that? Etherpad. You are able to access the Etherpad, right?
Yeah, yesterday I was able to, but today I'm not able to log into labs yet.
Mission itself, student is the username. Or you forgot your
Labs.
Where VLabs.
Yeah,
Okay, it is Linux, capital L-I-U, Linux hyphen. What was your seat number yesterday?
It was 8.
Yeah, Linux hyphen 8. Password is capital P at the rate SSW0.
Yeah, right. I got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. If anyone's stuck, please go ahead and share your screen. I can help you out. Those are totally new to Linux, might be struggling to create the file. I can help you out there also. By that, others also can learn. And in real time, Linux guys will say those who are able to successfully go into Vim editor and came out successfully after saving a file, half Linux learned.
So Shahjan, we need to create .ansible under dev or normal ansible.cfg.
Ansible.cfg. Under root home directory only .ansible cfg. On the root folders or users account.
Yeah, root folder like student folder like that.
It is on student.
Yes, student.
Root of the student folder. Maybe the account.
Got it. Yeah.
Meantime, what he asked, let me try to open that also. Vim ansible.cfg. Insert comma prod.ini. Yes, it is reading both the files if you use comma.
Yeah, doubt cleared then. Shahjan, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I got output.
Shahjahan, we need to give default in the configuration file, right?
Yes, default section header.
Okay.
Without that, it will not work. Okay, done. See how many of you done it? I am able to see only Shubhankar is
Not
completed.
Not at all.
Yeah, waiting. No problem.
Hi, Shahja Priya this side. So
Yes,
I
please.
have created the dev.ini file in the dev folder only
Mhm.
and ansible.cfg as well. But the
Mhm.
command is not showing the output of the server list. So maybe
Okay.
something is wrong.
Yeah, can you share
Not
the screen,
sure.
please? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, is it visible?
Yes, visible. So ls-l you are having ansible.cfg dev.ini. Okay, cat ansible.cfg.
Yes.
Inventory.
Okay, the spelling is mistake.
Inventory. No problem. I think it's okay. And Ansible. Can you type the command Ansible space all the host pattern space hyphen list hyphen host.
Just host.
Hyphen host.
Okay.
Host plural. Yes, enter.
Okay, maybe let me try with the command I was using host. It's not coming.
Okay. It is host plural. Come again, Apero.
Sorry,
Apero last command. What is the last command you used it?
this one for dev and for displaying the host name.
Okay. In this one, you missed the one more part which is called as host pattern. Whether you want to get all the systems, right?
Okay. So I have to mention that here.
Yes.
All.
Space all. Yes. Now enter it. Should okay. Come again. Apero. I dev.ini all list hosts. List hosts only you are using, right?
Wait, let me.
List hosts. List also you made as plural.
Okay. But shall I add dash here as well?
No. That is not it.
Okay. It's a command mistake then. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, Shahjahan, I'm also getting an error. Can I share my screen?
Yes, please. So initially, if you fix these things, it is on the fly. You can do it like this. There's also a lot of other things. So the basics we have to be very clear. Okay, Ansible hyphen list hyphen host. The command is hyphen all. No, here list. Okay, list all host is one command. List hyphen list hyphen. 1 minute. Ansible all
Okay.
space hyphen list hyphen host. Plural, single word. It is a single command. List hyphen host is a single command or single option. Enter. Okay, you're getting that output. It's
Okay.
working fine.
So maybe the syntax of the
Syntax.
command.
Yes. Anyhow, I'll give one more insight on that.
Sure. Thank you.
All right, thanks. You have created the groups also, right? Inside that web servers, or you just typed it flat?
What is that group section?
Okay, cat ini file, cat dev ini file. Okay, you just flat structure only created, right? Okay, we will explain it now. Okay,
Sure.
Anyone else is having problem? I think most of you done that, but created basic Ansible config file. Please update in the Etherpad also. How many of you completed? Then I can wait or I can proceed. I'm able to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people have done it. What about others? Please update your names.
Shahjahan, can I share my screen?
Yeah, please go ahead. Okay, Ansible list host. You are not getting the list host 0. So ls. What are the files you are having? dev.ini, ansible.cat, ansible.cfg. Defaults, it should be lower, plural. Insert, go up. Defaults, all lowercase. No, defaults itself should be lowercase. WQ. Now type the same command, it should work fine. Now double up arrow, it will work. Copy paste is too fat type. Go up, yes. Got it? Okay, done.
Thank you.
Thanks. So anyone else? Please update your names also in the task list, which is on line number 69 now. Shall I go ahead and share my screen and continue my talk, or continue our next activity?
Yeah, Shahjahan, I have a doubt.
Yes.
The defaults term at the top of the file, is it only for the inventory parameter, or like any other things we are going to define afterwards that also requires the defaults? Or
No, defaults
the
is a
first
section. The first line defaults is a section. These are the
Okay.
default section what we want to use it. There is another section called as privilege escalation, connections, some other
so which
parameters.
means there can be other lines for defaults as well. Like
Yes.
That's the one common term. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
which are grouped under
And-
defaults.
Okay. And we are also grouping servers, right? So is there any specific reason for that? Like
I am
to
coming.
list them? Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm coming. Next step is that.
Okay.
So what we have done, I think my screen is visible now. We installed Ansible, right? We started working on inventory file, right? So that I can do my activity on these machines, right? When I'm trying to create that inventory, because as an administrator, you want to manage multiple systems, right? In real time, you will be from your machine, you want to manage maybe tens of nodes. And that particular nodes, sometimes all the nodes, well, let us say I'm trying to deploy an application. That application is having some front-end web server requirements, some middle tier requirements, applications has to be deployed, some DB servers to be deployed. So you might be creating your commands or your tasks, whatever you're trying to do it, against set of machines, different set of machines, different set of tasks you might be doing it. On web servers, you will be installing Apache web server. Meantime, middle tier, you might be running some middle tier application. And on the backend, you might be installing your DB application. So I may want to not create only the files in a flat structure, right? Or I may want to group them like this. This is ungrouped. This is grouped. If I want to, let us say, sometimes I want to deploy an application only for the mail server group, it is easy for me. Like all we mentioned it, I may want to work against a specific mail server. I want to work against a specific DB server. I may want to work against a specific web server set. So we can group them like this if you want, right? One activity. And second one, you might be grouping them depending on your need, like this one. Let us say I'm trying to just go ahead to the required area. You might be grouping like this. Let us say web server US, web servers Europe. I want to collect these two also in one area. That is also possible. And one more thing, what you can do, this is the example. This is flat ungrouped, right? Sometimes you may want to group like this. It might be individual, what is that? Resolvable names, or it might be like IP address. Sometimes we may want to use a group of also. Let me go back and try to work on this particular file. And I'm trying to again vim ansible.cfg. Let me, in this case, I worked on these two entries. As of now, inventory can be with one entry or double entry. In that case, we tried with the double entry, it is working. So I'm not going to use 2 entry file. In our example, I'm going to use it with only one file. So right quit, I saved it. Cat ansible.cfg is currently holding only one inventory file. So according to that, I'm opening up my dev.inventory file. Right, already we worked on it. Node 1, node 2, node 3. For our project, we will create here after one project, one folder, and we will work on that. First, I'm trying to complete the inventory related components or whatever things we have to learn, that we'll get it. So here, I can have these particular systems which are going to be collected and grouped. In this case, these systems which are not coming under any section header. Right, this is section header, this is another section, we call it as grouping also. Under DB servers, these are the group. Under web servers, these are the things. Under non-grouping, ungrouped area, these are the things, right? So we can do like this also. Sometimes you may want to specify a particular range of IP. For example, I do have an example. We'll take the example of mail servers also. That is, I do have mail servers. I do have 10 mail servers. The mail servers will be named as mail square bracket instead of mail1.example.com. Right, I have to create like this many entries. Mail 2, mail 3, mail 4. Instead of that, we can use a bash scripting logic also here. I want to create 1 to 8 servers, right? Or 1 to 1 colon, I believe, right? Let me check what is the syntax for that. Yes, it is colon, right? I may want to use the colon like structure. So I can use this one. So it will create 1 mail to 10. Let us say again, I want to create app servers. I want to get or create the app servers list. App servers are there. App square bracket 1 colon, maybe another, let us say 10, right? Dot example.com. So what Ansible will do, will expand this range also automatically, and we'll be able to create it. Now let us say I want to create my collection of servers. I want to create my web servers and DB servers as one collection along with app servers. So what I can do, I want to group servers group. I want to call this one as servers group, and I want to bring in a new variable called as children. Right? What are the children I want to use? DB servers, web servers. Here I'm not giving the list. I'm giving already created group name and to be called inside servers group, so that whenever I want to do action or do patching, I want to patch against all these servers. Not all of them, only these selected web servers and DB servers. Let us say I want to take only these two. So what I have done, I created in this exercise, delete this one, not required. So certain areas are ungrouped. Only 3 servers. Certain servers are grouped. Right? Certain servers are multiple entries are made into one simple line, so that I'll be able to view those lines. Okay. And I would like to have it up. Another app server set is the range. And now I want to have all the servers or selected servers to be grouped as DB servers and web servers inside one more subgroup called as servers group. So we can create like this. And what is the advantage I'm going to get? So now I'm going back, clear screen. We have used the Ansible command -help. In this one, I'm just first showing you the help, because most of the time when you people have done it, this is where I have not given clarity previously. So Ansible help is giving me Ansible, okay, -h. We already used version, right? Become method, become user. There are different options in this one. One of the option what we have used it. If you don't want to use the default ansible.cfg inventory file, we can mention our own file also. So this is called as inventory option. Then there is one option called as list me the hosts. These are the two options what we have used it in our previous command. And in this one, there are a lot of other options. SSH extra arguments kind of activity, or whether you want to make a password based authentication, ask password, ask vault password. There are different options here, right? And finally, it says pattern, right? I'm going to use this one only. I want to use the pattern. Pattern is nothing but the host pattern. What is the host pattern? That is the host pattern what we are creating here with this in this particular file. So I wanted to use that host pattern and do all our activity. So clear screen, Ansible, right? I want to get the host pattern of web servers only, and list me the hosts which are going to be affected because of this particular activity, or list host. So I will be getting web servers, not server.
-I we need to use, right? Inventory.
No, not required, because it is going to use the default configuration file, right? According to the default configuration file, inventory file is dev.inv, it will take that.
Okay.
I have wrongly mentioned the pattern name only, right? Because of that, it said could not find the host pattern inside that machine. Okay, I want to pick up only DB servers group, right? And I want to get servers group in this one. We created one group called a servers group, right? So I wanted to find out what are the servers will be affected because of servers group set, and I'll be able to get the list of hosts which are coming under servers group, right? If I want to use, yes.
Yes, sorry to interrupt you. Since we are able to listing the host, can we able to run the playbook as well?
Yes, against in the same way. In the same way, okay. We can do it against playbook. Since I have not gone into playbook till now, I'm just first filtering out with the list details, right?
Yeah,
so I can create a group, ungroup, and all. You are getting the difference, right? In all these cases. In every command, I modified the output. You can see if I try to take mail servers, what are the app servers? If I now type pick up only mail servers, what mail servers is doing? I just created one entry in there, right? In dev inventory file, I created only one entry. What is the entry? Mail 1:8. But when I say list me the servers, all the hosts, it is giving me expanded list. You're getting the idea, right? Sometimes if you're having a series of systems IP, we can give that. If it is an individual entry, give it individually. But if you want to group them, you can group them. You're getting the idea? What are the things we can do?
Yep, yep.
All right. So on that way, we will be using the host command and pattern to work with those different settings, so that we will be able to connect and work with Ansible related commands. So now you people got the idea, right? What is happening here? Any doubt up to this point? Because I'm going to add the next point. So this is what we have done it for production. So what I'll do, I come out of dev or CD. Let's go into production server. We will treat our servers as equivalent to the production, so that we know we are going to work most of our activity with the production server. So what you can do, you can do two way. One,
Shahjahan?
maybe yes.
Sorry for interrupting. You mentioned that servers group as children, right?
Yes.
So in that you mentioned as DB servers and web servers.
Hmm.
So when we're able to list it out, it should list all the web servers and all the DB servers, right?
Yes. So I'm trying to now go ahead and type servers group, right? This is the command Ansible servers group is the command what I'm trying to use. Okay. If you try to do this one, it has to go and find out DB servers list, dev DB1, 2, and web servers list, dev1, dev2. You check it out whether it is giving both. Totally 4 rows, correct?
So the children term is not required for the command.
Not required.
Okay.
You mentioned this one only. So let me have it. If you people want to work out on it, this one, let me try to have it a dev inventory file created as a sample. You people also can try on your own, not necessarily use this one. So I'll use this file name also here in our copy paste activity, so that you know what is the file I have created. I'm copying this one, pasting it. Right. This is the entry what I created in my dev file. Based on this, I created a different commands or worked on different commands. If I try to take my command is free, I worked on these different commands: web servers, DB server, server group list all. Okay, I'll copy this one also, and these are the commands what I used it on testing it out. Okay, 74 is in my command line history line. Okay, clear? Any doubt up to this point? This is for understanding. Okay, we can create a host file entry. Based on that host file, we can do all this activity. Okay, for next activity, I need all of you to do this one. CD double dot, go back to home directory. Okay, CD double dot. I'm in home directory. Create make directory for our lab. Hereafter, we'll start working on this one, so that we'll be able to test and do all our activities with this one. So I'm going to create a production folder. Right, already exist or prod file exist. ls, I think I created production already. Yes, I created already. So I'm going to cd prod. Right, ls-l. As of now, in this one, there is ansible.cfg file. I'm going to edit this one, ansible.cfg. Insert here. What is the first entry? First line?
Defaults.
Defaults. Plural. Then inventory equals
Prod.ini.
inventory file. Production inventory. Prod.ini. Right? Escape, write, and quit. Hereafter, we'll be working with this particular file. And whatever we are trying to do it in that one, we'll do. So I'm going ahead and we're trying to create a vim prod.ini. Right? In this one, I will create one set, maybe, which is going to be, we will have it up something like, what is that we'll do? We will create node 1, insert node 1, individual entry, node 2, then only it becomes an inventory for Ansible, or I can make web server, right, or web, just give a section header called web. I want to keep my first server as a web server, that is node 1 dot example.com, right, and I want to make the second server as app server, right, and this one node 2 dot example.com. So we do have these two machines. I'm trying to bring this one into my inventory radar, so that Ansible is going to manage all these two. If I want to apply for all the servers, I'll be using these two together, or we can use all command. The concept is exactly the same. So I want to use again servers, and I have to mention it. What are the children, or I'm going to have specify children. What are the systems are going to act as the children for this one? I have to mention that. So according to that one, web is and app are the children.
Is it not a service group or just a service?
Yes, just service. So these are just entries we are trying to create. So I want to make the web server entry for node 1, app server entry for node 2, servers entry as web app, and together I want to use it up. Right, quit. Now can you people guide me? I want to get list of the servers. So what is the command I have to use it? Ansible
all hyphen double hyphen list.
No, only the servers.
I have to need only type servers, right?
Servers.
Hyphen list hyphen
Hosts.
Host.
Right, it is going to give me those two systems. If I type all, what will have, how many times the node 1 will appear? I typed all.
Single.
Node 1, node 2, because I have not given node dot example, right? If I enter it, sometimes we might be having duplicate entries are coming across, right? So again, I'm opening up production dot inventory file. Let me try to do this change. Insert here, right? Dot example.com, right? Escape, right, quit. Again, the same command I'm executing. How many entries are coming?
Only one.
So it will remove or it will pick up only the unique values. It will not carry duplicate values. It will get the list of commands or comes under this particular pattern and uniquely filters. Only filtered systems will be used for that target activity. Clear? So you people, the requirement you now know, right? Cat production inventory, create web section 1, app section 1, connect these two servers also, and create any other entity based on the need. We will use it. Okay, after our break. So you have to create one production folder, Ansible.cfg, and inventory file name. If you want to keep some other name, no problem. If you adhere to the standard, it is easy for troubleshooting also. Then we will go for break.
Yeah, sure.
Task 2. This is after this, we will be going into our lab setup inventory.
Shahjahan, can you let me know how to increase the font size in the terminal? I'm trying
Control
to
Shift
find that option.
plus, Control Shift plus plus, minus minus is one option.
Fine, thank you.
Yes.
Shahjahan, can I share my screen?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Ansible all. So unable to parse student prod dot init. Okay, as a inventory source.
Sorry.
Okay, so ls prod.ini. There you mentioned, I think, prod.init inside ansible.cfg. File name conflict.
Oh,
You mentioned here init.
yeah.
X. Escape, right? Good. That's it. Now again should work fine. That's it, done. Okay, you are having web app, right? Now try to list only the servers where you are getting node 1 and node 2 only. Pattern rather than all, you have to mention the servers. Ungrouped, you'll get node 1 and node 2. Servers, you should get servers list.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Fine. Yeah, thank you.
Can I share my screen? I'm getting some error. Yes. Sorry, sharing screen? Yes, I'm sharing my screen. Just a minute. Is it visible? Yes, visible. I'm getting this warning. Okay, cat ansible.cfg. Cat that prod. See the second, third line or last but line. Servers group you created with. Your group name is web. Oh, sorry. Okay, now yeah. Thank you. Thanks. So we'll go for a break. It is 11:30 now. 11:45 we'll come back.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I am back.
Yeah, Shahjan, I'm back, Shahjan. Okay.
Hello, Sujan.
Yes.
Sorry, I was facing some issue.
Mhm.
Sorry, my voice was bad. I was having cold. Uh, Actually, I had an issue with my laptop yesterday, so I was not able to do the lab, and I was trying to do it today
Mhm.
from the task one. But I'm sharing my screen. I was doing this command like to update the host name. I was getting this error. I was new to Linux as well. Is there
Okay,
anything I was missing out, or
No, you have to. You are in Node 1 student master only, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so you have to see. You have to install update ECT host file using. You have to use the command switch user as root. SU.
yeah, okay, I tried that as well.
Enter,
There are-
enter. No. Just type SU hyphen. Root not required.
okay.
Just SU hyphen. Remove key also. Enter. Type root 123. Why enter key is not working?
Yeah, I'm having some issue with my laptop.
Okay. Root 123 is the password. Okay, you are now logged in as a root. You have to type vim /etc/host file. It is a single file. Space, single line, single continuous syntax. /etc/host.
Okay.
No space.
Okay.
/etc/host. No. /etc/host.
There is a space, I think. There is a space.
Okay, come down. Down arrow. It is already opened. Come down arrow. ETC. Go to ETC folder.
Okay.
There is a ETC folder right on the top. Come up. Enter. In this one, come to the file called as host file. Type H. We need to go to the host file. All these are directories. Come down.
Okay.
Come down. Now only all files came in, right? Come down. Come to H area. There is a file called as host plural. Come down. Below the host. Yes. Open it. Enter. So in this line, in this file, we have to create some entries. Right?
Okay.
I insert.
Where I need to enter?
Just I press I.
Okay.
It is now under the insert mode. Come down one line.
Okay.
Here you have to type the IP address. What is IP given? What's your ID?
Mine is fourth one.
Okay, go to that one and yes. Your ID is 5.10, 5.11 and 12.
Yeah.
Okay, go back. No, it is there already. Next tab.
Yeah.
No, next tab. It is not clicking. Yeah, here. 10.0. 5.10 space master.example.com. Enter. Next line. 5.11 node1.example.com. Enter. 10.0.5.12 node2.com. node2.example.com. Like this, you have to make it on other two machines also.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, escape. Colon
Okay.
right quit. So to type colon WQ. Escape. Colon WQ. Yes, now it is saved.
Yeah.
Okay, so now
Okay,
it is
thank you.
like this. You have to do it on other machines also, right?
Yeah, sure. And I will come back to the task. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and get in, and I'll let me share my screen. Okay, so now we have done, or we have configured our required settings in our setup, right? So in this case, we are ready to go ahead. I believe all of you created your own commands and other things. So now let me try to go ahead and try to work with control clear screen. So in this one, cat ansible.cfg, cat prod.ini, only these two settings. What I just have it for the Ansible related activity. Now let's go ahead and try to test with some Ansible related commands. Then what is the purpose and how we are going to work with those different details, right? So when we are trying to do certain commands, one of the command what we are going to use it is Ansible. Ansible is having, as we already discussed or we talked about something called as Ansible is having a lot of modules, and I think one of the modules we saw these different modules, right? Cloud module, clustering module, command module, files module, These are the different modules which is having. If I click on system modules, I'll be able to find out again. These are file system related activity. If I want to do anything, I can do it from here. So there are different modules which has been created or what we are trying to work with. So whenever you're trying to manage Ansible, one of the module what we will be using is what we call a ping module. So normally whenever I want to find out whether the system is working fine or not, we can use the ping command, right? Ping the target machine, node 1. Maybe I want to create only 2 packets to be pinged. -c 2, then node 1. I'm able to know, okay, that machine is alive. Something like that. I want to ping the Ansible way, right? For that, Ansible is having a mechanism of using a particular module against a particular host. So in this case, I want to use the host pattern. And what is that you want to do it? Let us say in this case, I want to use Ansible, do something or whatever I want to do it. I want to ping or do some activity on a particular machine. Then we can work with that. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use Ansible -m module. I want to use a ping module, right? I wanted to ping a particular set of machine or which machine you want to ping. Let us say I want to ping node 1, right? I just type this one and it says I'm unable to find out the host pattern, node 1. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and try to say node 1, one of the system available in that, right? Node 2 only I have given as node 2. The node 1 I made it as .example.com. So if I'm trying to ping with this one, it says fail to connect, right? It is trying to say node 2 fail to connect because this is having permission denied, unreachable 2. Because it is trying fail to connect to a machine via that particular username password called as student node 2. So when I try to use Ansible node 2, I want to reach this machine and run a module called ping module. And it is used currently logged in username as it is and trying to connect to that machine with that username and password, permission denied, because when I'm trying to log into the same machine called node 2 as student, let me have it student @node 2, any of it is prompting me the password. So if I type the password, then it should work fine, right? Technically it has to do this particular activity. So what I can do, I can type the password student, then I'm able to connect to that machine. It is working fine. Okay. So let me exit from here and execute the same command. What is that Ansible command? But this time it is prompting me to supply a password. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come out of this particular file or Control C, clear screen, Ansible -help, which will show us help. In that one, we will try to use one more option here. I wanted to execute the same command, but it is not prompting me any password. So in that option command itself, is there any option which is asking me to ask password, right? So become user, become method, a lot of other options are there. If we go through this one, there is an option somewhere which is going to be called as ask password. Is that here? You can see -k, right? I want to use this option so that Ansible will prompt me to supply the password. So what I'll do, I'll use the same command -k or -ask pass. Concept is same. You can use ask pass. Then this time it is connecting to that machine as student node 2. It is prompting me the student's password. I'm typing the student password. Enter. This time I'm getting reply ping. I got pong. That means Ansible is technically able to connect to the remote machine, and I'm getting the reply also. You are getting the idea what is that? It is equivalent to a TCP/IP ping command. Like for ping command, just you send the packet, you are getting reply. But when I'm trying to connect to the remote machine as student user, it is asking me permission. Then tell me if I'm trying to use this particular same thing, I want to use as user DevOps. What will happen? I want to use this command as a user called DevOps. Are you getting the idea? What you are trying to do?
Yeah, it will connect without prompting password because we already did the keygen.
Okay, again ask pass. This time which password I have to give? Because we do have option on
DevOps.
So I'm typing DevOps password. It is connecting now with the DevOps password. I'm getting ping pong, and meantime I'm removing the ask pass now. Right? Enter. This time without asking password, I'm able to get ping pong. You got the idea, right? What's happening? Technically, whenever you're trying to use Ansible, when you want to connect to a remote machine, if you're connecting to a remote machine, you can make it up. If the password-based authentication is not enabled or key-based authentication is not enabled, you have to supply the password. To supply the password, you have to give this prompt. Then only it will be able to give you the reply. And if you enabled password-based authentication already enabled with SSH key mechanism, then you need not to supply. You can say run. Even though your current user is student, you want to run a command as DevOps so that you'll be able to see whether you're able to get a reply or not. So all of you, please cross-verify the same command sets whatever we have done now. I've used 3 different command levels. Let me have history. On your machines, please confirm you're able to do these 3 commands. Right? Maybe this one also is okay. You will know what's happening exactly. Right? Whether you are able to get Ansible ping module is works fine. Task Ansible ping.
Yeah, sure, John. I'm getting an error.
Great, good. Okay.
Sure, I'll share my screen.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So,
okay. This is whose screen, Ashwak. Okay.
Yeah, can see right?
Yes.
When I run the command, I'm getting this error. I'll check 1 second.
Empty local is not available. Okay. Can you type ls? You are in which directory?
Okay. Good.
right? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Shaja. So before mentioning this AskPass, so you mentioned modules. So is this AskPass is a module which we
No, no,
used in the
no, no.
command?
Ping is the module. -m module name is ping.
Okay, so ping is the module here we are
Yeah,
using.
-m is for module.
Okay.
I'll be talking about modules in a while. Since we have not yet gone into that area, I'm just skipping that part. So here, -m option, m module path -m is there lowercase m, v, b, l, list host become password, ask world password one, check module path. Yes, yeah, module name.
Sorry,
Hi, your screen is not visible.
Yes. Okay, now this is -m is the module. Right? I can type -hyphen module name called ping. So we have used a particular module called as Ansible ping module. Let me try to launch one more tab here where how to open it up. What is that? Okay, here, let me have it. Ansible ping module. Ansible modules. In that one, let me open up ping module. Right. So here, if you try to use this one, this is coming under the category of Ansible ping module. So we have used this particular module.
Okay.
So I'm using this particular module, and this is coming under Ansible built-in ping module. So according to this module, it is giving me snaps, and it is actually giving me Ansible playbook examples here, right? So if you try to use ping, what should be the reply? Pong. That means it is working fine. So this is for just testing whether the Ansible machine is okay. Whatever the machine you are trying to manage it, you are able to connect and you are able to get the reply with the basic command output. Okay. So now let me go back to this particular machine again. I think all of you got this one ready, right? You're able to get reply. Right? Ping, Pong is coming. Anyone is having error? Normally it should be.
I'm having an issue. Can I share my screen?
Yes. Okay. Unreachable, failed to connect, SSH could not resolve the host name called node2.example.com. Service not found. Okay. It is not able to find out the system called as node2.example.com. Okay, you are using prod.dni example.com. Okay. Can you ping node2.example.com? It is not resolving. That means cat /etc/host file /etc/host plural. Yesterday's exercise.
Yes.
Here say you are having two entries, node 1 only.
Okay.
I think you'll opened as a student user, right?
Understood.
Yeah. So resolve. I'm sharing my screen so that you can log in as root and modify that file.
Shajan, I'm also facing the issue.
Yes, please go ahead and share your screen. Okay. Can you cat your inventory file? No, not this one. Your inventory file. Yes. You're having node 1, node 2 only. There is no single word file called node, right? Or node with a name called as node 2. You're having node2.example.com only, right?
Yeah, I tried that again.
So you try that one, Ansible node2.example.com space -m ping. Okay, this is password issue, right? -u DevOps, the same command.
Yeah, thanks.
Got the idea. That was the problem.
The host name.
Yes. Right. So now this is the module. What we do have it. Clear up to this point. Everything is okay. We are able to connect to our remote machine and we are able to test it out also. Whether the test is working fine. Let me share my screen.
Still, it is not resolving, Shajan.
Okay. Which one?
Let me share my screen.
Yes.
2 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. 34, 35, 36. Okay. Ping node2.example.com. Control C. Correct. Cat pro.ini node1.example.com node1.example.com. Correct. Okay. So now what is that? You're trying to execute the command.
Give the full name, right?
Node2.example.com.
Okay.
Space. -u. Okay. You want to make it AskPass. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Student password.
Yeah. Okay. This is not enabled. showing like
Suppose
this.
you add this host into fingerprint your host file kind of thing. Okay, this is actually there is a node host SSH key. You done it yesterday? Have you done SSH key related things also?
No,
SSH key gen and node host other things you have done it? Not yet, right?
not yet. So after that only it will work.
Otherwise, you can do one more thing, and there is a bypass switch also for that. Let me try to give you that. You can use one particular command. What I'll do, I'll copy paste this syntax. You put it on your. I'm just bypassing what it is asking as a requirement. I'm just bypassing it on our file. Come back to Etherpad, please.
Yeah, here I have Etherpad.
Okay, I'm coming to the last line and paste this command. What I pasted it at the end of your command. Along with that, your previous command. Along with that, copy paste. It's better. Space. Copy paste this SSH argument so that we don't make any mistake there. What we are trying to say here, don't check the SSH key, right? Strict host key checking is equal to no.
Okay.
That means it is working. Only the problem, you please log into that remote machine at least once by SSH as a student.
Yes.
Then that host key will come into your local machine. Then you may not get this error.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes. All right. So I'll share my screen again. Let's go ahead, jump into our next activity. So as of now, our Ansible ping command is successful, right? So now let us say I wanted to use another module or another thing. When you want to refer anything, any module, we'll be able to get a lot of modules which are coming under Ansible built-in commands or built-in related details. You can see these are the different modules which are there. All of them are Ansible related activity. One of the module only we use the ping module, try to connect a remote machine. All right. Let us say I want to execute some command on the remote machine. So there is a particular module itself is called as command module. Execute commands on the targets. Right. So I can use this particular command module to execute a command on a remote machine. And I can execute those commands whichever I wanted to execute on that target machine. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and use this command module. Now, instead of ping module, I want to use it. Let us say I want to use the same thing here. This time I'm going to use, instead of ping, I'm going to use command. You want to use this command module. What is the argument you want to give? For that, I can use -a. Right, -a is argument on the remote machine. I want to use this ID command. If you recall, the same command we used it in the morning, right? I wanted to log in and execute this command on the remote machine called ID. Get me the result of that one. And you can see this is the option what I got it. It is giving me on the remote machine executing this command, and I'm getting the reply. Those who are not getting it, today morning I tried it with SSH, right? DevOps @node2 example.com, whatever the node we wanted to use it. I use the command called as ID, if you recall that, right? The same command I'm using it with the ping, with Ansible, right? I can execute this command. For this one is for the DevOps user account. If I want to use it for the user account called student, and if I use -k ask password, right? Now it is going to prompt me what is the password of that user called a student. So I'm typing the student's password, and it is going to give me the student ID. You're getting the difference, right? Here it is given DevOps ID. Here it is given the user ID. That means I'm using Ansible on a specific node and trying to execute this command and get me the result. Right? Let's try to do this one against two machines. Ansible -node rather than node2. I want to use it all. Right? I wanted to get, instead of ID, I want to use the host name command. Now if I run it, what is happening? It is asking me the password of the student. I'm logging in as student, and it is executing the host key checking blah blah blah, blah, right? The host fingerprint is not known in this particular mechanism. So do you want to have this one? Let me add that switch which I pasted already. Right? What I'll take this command again, copy this, and execute the same command with this option also. Right? Let's see what it is doing. Student. Okay, so you can see I'm getting node1.example.com. I got the host name as node1, node2, node2. What are the nodes details? It is able to give me all the nodes, right? I'm able to get all.
What is the
Yes.
parameter -k is used for?
Parameter K is for asking password. Ask password, what we used it, right?
Yeah, if we don't use it, then doesn't need it, right?
Okay, in case if I'm using the user
No, because
called,
you mentioned the other option as shextra.args.
no. Here if I'm using
Parameter you're using, or how does
one
it
minute,
is?
yeah, that's what here. If I'm using DevOps, I do have key-based authentication already, right? Enabled. So it is does
Okay.
not need a password. So I can remove this -k, correct?
Okay.
If I'm logging in as a student, then it needs a password. If I'm logging in
Yeah,
as a remote
that is
machine as a
right.
DevOps, I don't need a password. One, right? And I'm trying to execute without this. If this ignore host key checking, don't check the host name, yes or no, right? Normally when you connect with SSH, we'll get that prompt, right? SSH, you want to do that or not, right? Yesterday I showed it, right? Whether
Yes.
you are agreeing that public key. That's strictly I'm saying don't switch it on, because when I try to log in as a student, it has prompted me that. Let me try to do this one. This time this is not required because already we have done able to with that DevOps user account.
Yes.
Host key checking
Okay.
is not required. You're
Yeah.
getting the idea, right?
Okay.
For the student, it is prompting. For DevOps, it is not prompting because DevOps key-based authentication already established.
So when you use for the student this particular parameter which you mentioned, right? The host key checking is no. It won't ask for a password, or it
No,
will
it
ask,
will.
right?
It will ask. Now let me try to remove this one. 1 minute. I am removing this part. Okay.
Yeah.
So now what I'm trying to say, go to the inventory file, all the entries in the inventory file, execute the command as the argument called hostname. Okay. And I'm saying currently logged in user is student.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you're trying to connect to the remote machine, I'm not specified any password. So what will happen? This will go and try to execute directly, and it says permission denied because student 1 is not provided his password. Okay. So if I want the system to prompt the password, I need to use additional switch called -k or -ask-pass, right? Both options is same. Okay. If I do this one, this time it will prompt me the password.
Okay.
I'm logging in as a student.
Yeah. And may know the reason why we are mentioning this particular SHFN extension, RSA.args, and
yes,
because what is the reason we are mentioning that?
That's not when I logged into a remote machine, the host key related mechanism. When I'm logging into a remote machine, I am not logging, let us say SSH, and I'm trying to log into node 2, right? If I'm trying to log in, whether I'm looking down doing with password based or keyless or passwordless authentication, it is password based, right?
Yes, it's password
based.
It is
prompting me the password. If the same thing I'm doing with DevOps,
it is a passwordless authentication.
So if I'm trying to in the password authentication, already I trusted the host, my key is there in the remote machine, right?
Yes.
In case of a student, it is not there.
Yeah.
So on that case, I'm saying or bypassing the security or the security feature available in Ansible, saying that don't check the host key mechanism, not required for a student user. But for DevOps user, it is already done. So this switch is not required.
Can you explain why we are mentioning that don't check the authentication? Any specific reasons we are doing that, or what?
Otherwise, it is prompting me. Let me try to have it up.
No, if we use that authentication thing also, we have to provide a password, right? Anyway.
Yes, that is anyhow it is there. It is giving me a warning if I don't use this one, right? If I'm not using, right? It is going to prompt me the password. I'm supplying the password.
Yeah.
Student, right? Whatever the command I'm trying to execute the target machines, it is saying me that okay, here for the which user account, it is using student account. Yes, it is using. So previously, I think host ignore has been done. When I done this one, it is giving me see using SSH password instead of a key is not possible because host key checking is enabled. Okay. In the previous error, when I tried to execute with the password, at that time it prompted me SSH pass does not support this mechanism. Please add this host fingerprint to your known host file, then you continue. Right?
Yeah, first time I think it will throw an error, and then next time when we
execute,
it will add. Yeah.
Yes. So on that way it is thrown error. To bypass that error, I'm using this command. Otherwise, it will every time or whenever I'm completing the session and next time I log in. Currently, I already logged into a session. It is proceeding with that session ID. Otherwise, this will the first time when I log in, it is going to throw me this error.
But it will happen on every session, right? If you work today and coming out of this particular session.
I log out and close the terminal.
Yeah, again, if you log in back or a new session, if you take it again, it will prompt, right? The same.
Yes. That's one. So that I am bypassing with this command.
Yeah. So instead of -k, like -k, can you try -u DevOps and see what is the output we're getting?
Here. Without this, that's already done it, right? So you mean to say this one, right? This one.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So this time I'm not using the password and another thing. So it is going to go and complete the answer and give me back the reply. This time it will not prompt me. That SSH key host state key is not required, or maybe we have to close this thing, then we have to launch it. Okay. So technically, what we are trying to do, we are making it up when we are trying to execute any command on the remote machine, whether key-based authentication, if you enabled it, that means passwordless, it will directly take you in. If you're not enabled that, you can configure Ansible to prompt you the password also. That is the ultimate idea what I'm trying to convey.
Okay. Can you cat prod.ini? I just want to see what is the host name sorry, because capital node 2 is it, node 2 is it?
Okay. Because when I'm trying to use this particular Ansible, right, this time I'm saying -list -all, right? This is what we are going to get the list of nodes, right?
-host, not -host. Yeah.
Oh, that is the problem. Okay, host, plural. Okay, so in this one, you can see I do have one entry called node 2. The other two entries node 1 and node 2.
But output I say capital node 2. This one. If you see the output, right?
Yes. Because on the remote machine, how the node name has been mentioned.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Host name. Yeah.
That computer is giving me reply, right?
Yeah, I got that.
Yes. Okay, so now what we have done, we have created and we are able to log into the remote machine with the required username and password. If you are able to get that idea, it's done, right? So what is the command we are using? Ansible -Ansible all. What are the hosts you people are having it? And I have used the first thing as em module. I think all of you done the setup part, right? Ping command, you done it. Now we are trying to use the command module argument within single quote. You can type anything. Maybe we will try with host name -i, right? Try this command and let it use with DevOps user without prompting password. So please go ahead and test it on your machine. If everything is okay, no need to update in this task list. We will do that on the next activity. So first, you are able to execute the command and get the IP address of remote machines. In my case, I'm going ahead with the same command. Instead of host name, I'm using num host name -i using the username, and I should be able to get the reply. So 5.2, 5.3. So I think node 1, node 2 is giving confusion. Let me try to edit that part. Prod.ini. I will make it up. Otherwise, it is going to again make it up every time. Example.com. Okay. So if I do this one, it will now show only 2 entries, not 3 entries.
Shahjahan, can I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Can you hear my screen, right?
Yes. What is that? It is trying to use SSH extracts. SSH extracts. Why you are typing twice? Remove that SSH extracts from this one, then we will try to fix it.
Just only one?
No, both. Remove both. -K. Up to that, you stop. Okay, go ahead. Run it. It is asking student's password. Then what it says?
It throws an
Because
error.
host key problem.
Yeah, that's what.
Again, run it one more time.
Same thing, or you want me to add the
Same
parameter?
same command.
Okay. It again gives the same error.
Student password. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
So it is along with the known host file entry is missing, and then doing it, right? So to avoid that only, we are using the up arrow. Right? No. This one, I think you can you go back to the Etherpad and note down what is that we have given. It is SSH extracts is equal to that line, full set, strict host key, no checking. Better copy paste it. Okay, remove. Yes, paste it here. Inside this, right click, paste. Okay, now enter. This time without error, it will continue.
A quick question. Where we can now get this option of -o strict host key checking is now when I
Okay.
go for a help here.
Yes. It is having only SSH extra args.
It says extra args
Yes.
and SSH extra args. That's the only option it has.
So yes.
So where I can
SSH key only -r. So for this one, you have to go ahead and type our man file, or you have to refer the documentation of Ansible. Right? There we have to go the extensive command help reference, then we can do it. Otherwise, Google it will get I'm getting this error, then they'll give you this is the option. Right? Because every command also we cannot go and find out every detail, but if it is required, yes, we can. Yes.
Yeah, but these
That
options
is the easiest way. Directly they don't have here. You can use man Ansible, then you will be able to find out there are some helps also they might be giving in between. Right? Yeah.
No, when you Google with the skip known host file, right? Like you will get the answers actually. Like if you Google that, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
that is the easiest way. Okay, shall I share my screen? Continue.
Shahjahan, can we get the two output in the same command, like uptime and host name?
Yeah, you just need to add semicolon between the commands. That's all you need.
Within the quote.
Within the quote, you can add a host name, semicolon, uptime.
Let's say host name, comma. What is that? You need uptime.
Yeah, it will be semicolon.
Yeah, sorry. No such file name directly host name. So it is not taking in that format directly. I think which is having ampersand something. I'll tell you what is that command, how to execute two commands simultaneously. For otherwise, we can use a shell like command. I think we have to use shell module rather than this module. Instead of command, I think we can use shell module. Yes. Command line is only one command kind of execution, whereas shell, like your regular shell, bash shell, you can execute. Yes. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in. So in this case, currently what we are doing, we are trying to connect to a remote machine and try to do some activity or whatever you're trying to do it. We started working with some basic module. As of now, we are working, we worked with the ping module, which is capable of giving us the reachability of that remote machine, like ping, which is giving us the idea of whether it is Ansible based reachable or not. Okay, this does not need any privileges, just you should have the IP name resolution as to what, and you will be able to get the reply. If you want to ping it, or if you want to execute a command on a remote machine and you want to do it, depending on your user privilege, you might need or you will be doing some activity. For example, in this case, let us say clear screen. I'm trying to do one more activity, because in our activity, what is that? Which user is going to do the system management across all these machines? We do have one guy, right? Yesterday we created student account, we created DevOps account. What is the purpose of creating this guy? DevOps. This is the user who is going to manage the entire system using Ansible, right? So when you're trying to do Ansible on the target machine, he might not always work as a regular user. He might be doing, or he has to have some special privileges. Let me go and show that one. Let us say I am in master one now, right? I'm connected to the remote machine, SSH as DevOps user @ let us say node 1 I'm going in, right? I connect to the system node 1 and I'm trying to use the command called as user add. Logged in as DevOps user, I'm trying to create a user account called as U1. And what it says, permission denied. As a user, I don't have privilege to do anything, because as an Ansible user account, you might be installing and uninstalling, configuring a lot of things on the remote machines. There you need root privilege. Every time you cannot log in as a root also, right? So I would like to, whenever you're trying to do Ansible related activity, you need the root privilege, and you cannot ask the remote server admin, give me your root password. Right? He will not ready to share that one. Even if he shares it, who has done what job, we don't know. For that, we need DevOps has to log into the remote machine. But whenever he want to do as regular, other than non-user account or regular user account, and he goes to the special accounts, I want to give him some privileges so that he can execute that one. For that, we use SU, and there is one more option, SU do. SU switch user or go as a different user account. SU do some activity as a special privileged account. So doers, what we call it as, they can run as administrator kind of. So by default, whenever you're trying to work on this particular guy who's called as DevOps has to be now given some special privilege so that he can execute those commands. Currently, this particular guy is not allowed to use user add. Right now, I want to give him that particular privilege. If I'm doing that one as a root, it will work. For that, I need a root password. So to overcome that issue, what I will do, I'll request the root user of that system. In this case, in node 1, I'm logging in as a root user, and I'll ask root user to give him the privilege called as sudoers. So what root user will do, he will open up a file called as vi sudo. This is a sudo editor, what we call it as. In this one only, we do have special privileged people. Sudoers allows particular users to run various commands as a root user without needing root password. I want to do that job like root, but without root password. So for that, we use this particular configuration file, which is enabling us to do that activity. So according to this one, there are a lot of lines, right? In these lines, one of the line I'm interested in, this one is going to be here. Allow root to do any command anywhere. By default, we say Linux user can do anything, right? Or root user can do anything. He is getting that privilege from here. Root user, all. That means he can do anything. That's the privilege which has been given for that particular user called root. In the same way, I can give it for a group also, which is percentage. If you add it, it is for the group. So we can add like this different entries for a specific activity. So in our case, let us say in this machine, I want to give DevOps. I'm in node 1 now. I'm editing this file. Directly, it is not suggested to edit it here. I will ask you people to do in one more area, but first I'm showing demo. So I wanted to make sure this particular user called DevOps is allowed to execute only that user add command. Other than that, he is not allowed. So I want to use DevOps user. So insert DevOps. And what is the command he is allowed to do it? I'm going to say all is equal to all. Close this one. What is the command he is allowed to use? And let me go back to the other command line. I want to locate where is this particular command called as user add. How I can do that? Anyone? I want to find out where this user add command, when I'm trying to type user add, obviously it is coming from somewhere, right? Where it is located.
Say shadow.
Password.
//shadow.
No, location of this file, user add file. User add is a binary, right? Executable.
Okay, it will be under /bin.
How to do that?
Which? Yeah.
I can use a command called as which will be telling me where is this particular file exactly located. So it is available user bin/user add. So I am taking this particular path, okay, and I'm adding it here. This user is allowed to execute this command only, right? Escape, write, and quit. Now that has been done for that root DevOps user. So Control D, I become a DevOps user now. Currently my user ID is DevOps. So let us say I'm trying to use user add. If you try to do this one, user add, let us say U1, it is saying permission not denied or permission denied. So the same command I'm executing it now with the privilege called as sudo. Use this command and do as a root user. Switch user and do as a root. Okay. So I'm trying to do this one. Now it is giving me, the moment I executed this particular command, we trust. That means root user is giving a lecture to this guy. Which guy? The DevOps guy. Respect the privacy of others. Normally, once we become a root, we believe that we can control anything on that user's profile. They say respect the privacy of the users. Think before you type. With great power comes great responsibility. Whatever the lecture has been given to that guy. Are you sure you want to use with the root privilege? Yes. I want to execute this command because I know I'm creating a user account called as U1. User account created. This user is allowed to do only this command. Let us say if this user is trying to do other than that account, let us say he's saying user del. Then it says, sorry, user DevOps not allowed to execute bin user del as a root user on node 1 because he's not been allowed to execute. He's been allowed to use user add only, not user del. It says you are not in the sudo's privilege list. You cannot do this activity. Whether the user account has been added or not, I can find out that user account in the command called cat or tail. I'll use tail now here. Tail /etc/passwd. We can find out the user account has been created. Right, user 1 is now having the privilege or the ID as 1002. That means DevOps user has been now given special privilege to execute only that particular command. If it's trying to execute any time that particular command, let's say you want to add one more user account called as U2. I'm sorry, user add U2. It will be there by default for 5 minutes, I believe. Till that time, it will not prompt the password. After that, it is going to prompt him again, supply the password, then only can log in, or until the session timeout is happening. So on that case, he's trying to continue with this particular activity. He's allowed to now create user accounts. Other than that, he's not allowed. You're getting the idea, right? So he becomes a sudoer, and whenever he has to execute that particular command, only at that time he will go as a root. He will be typing his own password only, but he will be given elevated privilege to execute only that command for that particular time period or session. He'll be able to enjoy that particular privilege. Once he logs out or the session gets over, again he has to prompt the password, but he'll be using with this username and password. So this particular mechanism, what we are not going to do it in this one, in this way, we are in need of a different way in our activity. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to log in as a root again, right? Root 123 as a root password I'm getting in. So what we have done, I have edited va sudo, right? I am disabling the setting, insert, commenting out. That means this line is no more effective. That means user is not allowed to do this activity. If I do control D, again the user has been now removed from that privilege. Now he's trying to do, let us say user add 3. If he's trying to do the sudo command, DevOps is not in the sudoers file, we will report to that bin or root. Okay. So that user has not been removed of that privilege. But if you want to give someone as a root privilege, there is a best practice for this. So what, according to the Linux implementation, what Linux is trying to do, whenever you're trying to give someone sudoers privilege, go into the folder cd/etc sudoers.d. In this location, you create the same entry rather than directly manipulating the sudoers file. This is actually editing a va sudo file. I don't want to touch that part. I know how to make the entry. So what I can do, I can directly create this file entry under sudoers directory. So whichever the users you want to give them the privilege, you give them in that particular file in the same format. So what I'll do, I will go ahead and try to edit this or create a new file here. Vim or touch new file. The file name, let us say I want to call system admins or roots. So I want to call this one as admins. Admins is a simple file. Under sudoers, this file has to be there in the exact format. What is the format? Which user you want to give the privilege? So DevOps on what is that privilege you want to give? All, right? What is the syntax?
Yeah, it's all.
Okay. All
Yes.
is equal to all. And
Command.
at the same time, he is allowed to execute all the commands. I want to give him, rather than specific command, I want to give him full privilege. But there is one more option every time I don't want to supply the password. So there is one more option called as no pass wd colon. This entry will make it DevOps working as a root user like in this machine without every time prompting the password. So this entry, we have to give it in all the managed nodes or target nodes under sudoers.de file. You're getting the logic, right? So we want to now give that particular sudoers privilege for DevOps, so the DevOps can execute on the remote machines also. The user account creation, other things he can do it from here. So what I do, I'll escape this particular part, write and quit. So what we are doing, after doing this particular activity, I just ls, I do have only one file. If I type the cat entry of admins of this file, it can be any name, it should have this entry. Once I know this particular entry has been made, control D, right, DevOps node 1, I'm trying to do user add this time. And I want to give some password, let us say user 3 I want to create. It is saying permission denied. This time sudo, without prompting password, it is proceeded. So I'm using a sudo method. Without password, I'm able to log in because the password requirement has been removed off. So based on this, I'm able to create it. So that one I want to reflect it with our activity. So in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and try to come out of this particular machine, control D. After doing that, what is the change has been done in my production part? So here, what I want to do, I want to use the same logic. I want to execute the command. Let us say in this case, rather than command also, you can use it, or we can use the module called as what is that? User module, right? I want to create a user account called as user module. And what is the user name? I want to use it with the hyphen argument. Let us say I want to create a user called as u4, right? As DevOps. It is going ahead and it is asking user extra has extra params, which only not allowed to following modules. Legacy, blah, blah, blah. Then we have to give some more commands. Let me try to use it with the command module, then we'll see. Rather than command, we will use shell, right? Shell hyphen a. What is the command I want to use? User add. This time user 3 or user 4. Close the command, right? Hyphen user called DevOps. So what this is going to do, this is going to execute that particular activity on the remote machine, but it has to give one more error also, right? Permission denied, right? It is log password, the same logic. So what I have used it here, and on the target machine I used, whenever I said I used a sudo command, right? So there is an option here also when I'm trying to use Ansible hyphen help and Ansible hyphen help, and there is an option here itself, become, right? So hyphen B, become as which user you want to have it. What is the become method you want to use? By default is what? Sudo.
Root.
No, sudo. Sudo is the method.
Okay.
After that, as you want to use which user you want to become, then it will work with. So I want to use a become method, hyphen become, right? So it will automatically become a root and try to do that activity. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to execute this option in my activity, hyphen, what is the switch option? Hyphen use B or become root and do this activity. So I'm going to execute that option here. become method along with the sudo is the default, and maybe root that one as a root. And now this is going to go ahead and execute this particular command on the remote machine. Missing sudo password. One it is gone, the other one is missing. What is the problem?
And node 2 we are not added to the sudo's file, right? Like only node 1 we used. Yeah.
So we have done it only in the node 1. We have not done it in node 2. If you do it in node 1 also, this will work fine. You're getting the idea, right? What's happening?
Yeah.
So now what is the task?
We have to configure the DevOps as the root user.
Yes. So
Hi,
now yes.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you once explain that sudo, we did not add the entry in the sudoers. Instead, we add entry in the sudoers.d, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
yes.
but you also showed the entry in cat that admins.
Okay. Sudo
So
was
at
yeah,
that point, I was confused a little.
yes. Yes. Just sec. Configure DevOps as sudoers in node 1 and node 2. That is the task actually. Right. So let me go back and explain one more time. I am in production 1, right? I'm logging into SSH. Now I'm going to the second machine as DevOps user to node 2, right? I'm logged in as like a regular user in node 2. In node 2, I'm trying to do the user add command, and I'm trying to add user node n1 user, right? Permission denied because this is a regular user who's not having privilege. So this guy has to be given a root privilege, or he needs a root password, then he can switch user and do that activity. So to do that particular to give that particular privilege for that user, what root will do on that machine, or the root user who has created already DevOps user account yesterday, that root user will log into his root machine and he will go to /etc sudoers folder, right? In this folder, he will create a file where the DevOps can be given full privilege. So for that, he can create any name, including I created use admins as one file.
Okay. So
right?
any name is fine.
Any name is fine. I've created admins, roots, or DevOps. If you want to have DevOps as a name, that also you can give, not necessarily this one. In one machine, it can be this, and the other machine can be different one. So I created a DevOps file, right? DevOps sudoers file, and I will create vim. In this one, I will create the entry called DevOps. Will be having all equals within bracket all. This is the syntax for the sudoers related activity. It should not prompt the password. Pass wd, not password. Pass wd, and he is allowed to execute all the commands. So escape, write, and quit.
Okay, I understood this. Just theoretically, why are we giving the entry? Why are we giving the sudo access through sudoers.d instead of that sudoers file?
So normally when we are trying to go through this particular cat etc vi sudo file, right? Vi sudo.
Yeah, I think it's sudoers. Cat etc sudoers.
Sudoers, no. Sudoers.
Yes.
Okay. Sudoers, yes. All right. So this file, if I try to open up and permission denied as the user I don't have, so I'll do as sudo. Right, in this one there are a lot of entries, right? Sometimes when we edit this particular file, we may make wrong entry, or we make manual mistake, right? So how that can be avoided? Not only in sudo. In case of Linux in general, if you go to cd etc folder, right? I'm trying to find out ls-ld, right? List me all the folders which are ending with star.d. Okay, you can see all these configurations of these services. Linux mechanism has been moved on to, instead of modifying the core file, let us say in the cron file, you have to edit the cron file. Or if you are trying to do repos, right? Repos.d, where is that repos.d? Yum repos.d, here you can see. So what they have done at all configurations, whenever you want to edit a big or configuration file, instead of editing the default configuration file, you open this .d file. Inside this, you do your configuration. If anything goes bad, you can delete that file and your system will work fine. Otherwise, you don't know in this particular core editor configuration file which line you modified it. Sometimes we accidentally modify line number 10. Instead of that, we might have modified in line number 52 by searching it. It might have given some adverse effect, or again, we don't know where we have to modify and where we have to do it. So normally we take backup of, before modifying, we take the backup of that file, then edit it. Then anything goes back to store from the backup. All those things not required if it is enabled with the .d. In agile methodology, they give this kind of implementation. Whenever you're trying to do it, don't touch the core file. Create demo, all these daemon files as a folder. From there, any file is there, read that one, it is better. Okay.
Okay, so it is only to avoid the human errors.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so Control D. Now I got out of that to machine node 2 also. Now if I'm trying to execute user add user 4 in both the machine, in one machine it will say that is already done, or it is not going to do any change. In the second one, what is that? Already extension. Okay. Node 1 it is done. Node 2 it has been changed. If I try to do it one more time, it is going to be item button saying that it is already the user account is existing. It cannot do. So in this case, we have connected to the remote machine. And for those people who are not able to get the idea, so what we have done, we have given the sudo privilege for the DevOps user. So because of this sudo privilege, this user or the DevOps user can do anything on these machines. So when we are going to do with Ansible related activity, we'll be doing all our configurations using this one. Okay. So task has been given. Configure DevOps user as a sudoers on this file entry. So what is the entry you will create it? Create profile in slash etc slash sudoers dot d file. In this location, maybe in my case I've taken admins. The content of this one should be DevOps all is equal to within bracket all. This is the syntax of that one. Don't
So
count the
this
cost.
particular parameter which you're mentioning, Shahjahan, it should be done on the root user side or from the DevOps user?
As a root
Node
user.
1 or node 2?
As a root user.
As a root.
Right. So once you do this, then you will be able to manage that system using the DevOps user account. You have to do this one on both the nodes. So the sudo privilege has to be there for both the user account.
Shahjahan, actually, after doing this, what is the command to check the output?
Okay, we can use, yes, you can use this command. Actually, we have to use the user module there. I'm not using the user module. I'm just using the basic command module, which already we are familiar with.
This command we have to check as a root user in that respective node, node 1, node 2, or is a DevOps?
Any user can do. DevOps also can do.
Okay.
You have to view that file only, cat etc password, right?
So this command we can run from the DevOps user as an sudo or it's a regular?
With this command?
Yeah.
Ansible on. You'll be doing in this master, right?
The master.
Yes, in the master you will be doing it in.
So, but the entries we did it only in the node 1 and node 2, right?
Correct. Why we have enabled that entry? Any idea on that? See what's happening. You are just trying to understand pictorially so that you'll get an idea, right? So you are here student, right? In this machine, and the master you are logging in as a student. So from here, whenever you're trying to log in as a DevOps, right? So when you're trying to do this DevOps related activity in the local machine, you might be creating, deleting application, a lot of things. You need the privilege, right? So to do that, already we made it. DevOps user can log in without key based, without username and password. We made already that part. But when this DevOps executing, creating user account, deleting or anything he has to do, he needs the sudo privilege.
Okay, got it.
That sudo privilege we have done here, so that you can execute from here as a DevOps user account. Okay.
After adding, when I executed the command as a student from master node, it gives me error like user has been already user already exists.
That, so that user is there. You try with user 44.
Okay.
Just change the username as u44. See.
Rajan, if you want to execute on one particular node, then instead of all, we need to give that node1.example.com.
Yes,
right?
Perfect. Correct.
Okay. Because it is using the init file, so it is applicable for everything, yes, all the nodes.
Yes. Whatever the node you are specifying, it should be there in the init file or that inventory file. Okay.
And here you are giving entire permission. So if you want to restrict only a specific privilege, so then we need to mention the path in sudo.t, right?
Yes. In the not in the admin system we can mention now.
That's what, in that path in admin file, here you are giving entire root access. But if you want to permit, then we need to give the path. Let's say if you want to use user add, then we need to give sbin user add in that. Okay, fine.
In the VS Sudo, you'll be able to find out the examples there already. Okay, so now I have to complete one small final task, then we get the idea, which is linked on today's session.
Shahjahan, I'm getting an error. Is there any specific reason that I need to mention?
Yeah, can you share your screen, please?
Since I didn't mention any either node 1 or node 2.
Okay. Can you go ahead and share the screen? So here you're saying Ansible all, that means you want to be on the default inventory, whatever it is there, you want to connect all the machines, right? M shell user add u4 using the DevOps user account, and you want to use the become option also, right? Warning, the name directory user4 already exists, not copying from blah 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 blah, right? Can you try with user 44?
Shahjahan, I think it's the same node, right? Node1.example.com and node1, both are the same, pointing to the same node, right? So might be that one. Like as you can see in node1, it's showing, and it's trying.
Node 2 is missing. I think he's done. You have done only node 1. You have to do it in node 2 also.
Yeah.
Right. One more activity, and at the same time there is a node 1 example and node 1. Both are pointing to the same mission. That's why you are getting. It is already existing. Can you go and edit in your pro.ini? Vim pro.ini. Make it node 1, node 2 in the top. Remove those two or comment out. Because of that, it is repeating again and again, kind of. Okay, escape. And you have done that admin file creation only, I think, in node 1.
No, I think I did it in node 2 also. But let me.
Can you log into node 2? Check out. DevOps node 2. Directly type cat/etc/sudo dot. Tab autofill will do. .d/ tab. It's permission denied. Okay, say su. Tab admin center. It is NO. O is not uppercase. O is not uppercase.
So it should be
all uppercase. Now exit. That's it, done. Now execute the same command. This time user 444. Okay, done.
But what is the error I received it? Can you, why? Because of that particular entry was missing or not?
That is the no password O is missing, right? For that it has said missing pseudo password. That means it is expecting the password. Right? There is an option called as become password. You have to use it. If you're not provided that no password all properly, we have to use the become password all. There is one more become password also. We can ask it to do it. Then it will do. Otherwise it will not do.
Okay, fine.
Right. Other entry was node1.example.com.
Yeah.
Because in the node 1 it is created already. Then in node example also it will try to do it. Then it is saying the username is already existing.
So we should not have a double entries in the pro.ini.
Yes. Okay. Right. Shall we go to the next one?
We have a couple of entries like.
Avoid duplicate entries. Yeah, duplicate entries you should avoid. See here also what you have done. You created node and node 1 example. Both are binding to the same mission, right?
Yeah. Okay. Node 1 and node 1.example. Okay.
According to Ansible, it is two different entities.
Okay.
Right. According to your host file entity, same IP.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So shall I share my screen? Anyone else want to share? Or having problem?
Yeah, I'm getting error.
Yeah. Show me the error. Permission denied. You are doing it in master. You have to go to the node 1, SSH node 1.
I have done it in SSH.
I think DevOps password it should not ask, right? If it is asking, then you have not completed your SSH key gen activity, I think, right?
I created in the master server, right?
Yes, from the master you have to do it. Okay. Here what you do, log in. No.
Okay.
Log in as a root. SU hyphen. Here go to cd etc sudo-d.
There I get an admin.
Okay, cat. Yeah, more. DevOps all no password. All no, there should not be any space.
Oh.
After no password, there should be a space. No. Colon, let it be. After colon, insert space. Yes, save it.
I need to do on the same exit.
Okay, you've done the required thing. Come out of this. Control D, Control D. Come out of this one also.
Yeah.
Now here SSH keygen have you done?
SSH?
SSH hyphen keygen.
I hope not.
Yeah, SSH hyphen keygen. No, the single command SSH hyphen keygen. Keygen.
Or else you can grab that from the Etherport. You have
Enter.
that.
Enter.
Enter. Sorry.
Yes, enter, just enter. Enter. So now SSH hyphen copy ID target to those two machines. SSH hyphen copy ID. Copy hyphen ID, I believe.
Copy. I saw the command.
Copy hyphen ID.
Okay.
Space. DevOps at node 1. Enter. Type quickly the password of DevOps. And done. The same command one more time with node 2. Again password. So this is making this key-based authentication now correctly. After this, you are now along with us, right?
Yeah.
After this, whatever the command you are going to execute, it will not prompt you to supply the password. You can directly log into the remote machine without a password. SSH DevOps node 1. It should be not prompting you password. SSH DevOps node 1. Okay. Right.
Okay.
So I'm sharing my screen. You are on par with us. Right. Now we have done this particular part, right? So what is that? We have done it. Let me quickly summarize. We have created a DevOps user account yesterday, and today we gave him the sudo privilege so that he can execute Ansible related commands. Since we have done all this activity, every time whenever I'm trying to execute, I'm typing username as which user I want to become and do it, right? So is there a possibility which I'm going to VM my ansible.cfg file? In this one already we created an entry which is going to be talking or asking us to do some activity, right? So here already we have inventory, we have done it. On the remote machine, what is the username you want to execute whenever I'm trying to use it? So here what I have to do, I have to use remote underscore user is equal to DevOps. So whenever I'm trying to execute this command in playbook or any other command, because I'm giving this one as a configuration detail. So next time I need not to use -u. What is the username it has to become, right? I can make ask underscore pass is equal to false. You're getting the idea, right? What I'm trying to do. Host.
Yes.
Host underscore key underscore checking is equal to false. Right, all this why I'm doing it, because it is prompting me all these different details. So this is which is coming under the default section. So which inventory file it has to use whenever it is connecting to remote machine, what is the username it has to use, whether it has to prompt the password, because we enabled there. If I make it true, what will happen? We'll check it out that also. And these details which is related to what we call it as defaults. Now I'm going at trying to add one more section additionally, because on the remote machine he has to become a different user, right? So for that we do have one more specific mechanism called as privilege escalation underscore escalation, because we want to use it with the sudo privilege, right? Sudoers we want to use it. So that is technically here called as privilege escalation. Okay, whether you want to become a root user, become is equal to whether you want to make it, yes, I want to make it root, right? What is the become method you want to use it? Become underscore method. This is also default. Anyway, I'm mentioning it so that we can understand. Use sudo privilege or sudoers tool. Which user you want to become? Become as user, right, is equal to root. Okay, then whether you want to ask the password every time root time when you're executing it, become when you are becoming as a root user, ask underscore pass. So all these option we can enable is equal to false. You're getting the idea? What are the changes we have? Whatever we learned it, whatever we put it in ad hoc command, I'm trying to convert all of them and see one by one what's happening, right? You're getting the idea, right?
Yeah. Yes. Become method and become user, right? If we have only become is equal to true, that will not suffice, or like we need to add both sudo and root on that.
No, see, by default become method is sudo.
Correct.
If you want to use other method, yes, we can use it. Whether you are mentioning it or not, it will by default become sudo method only. That means you can make it up. This one commented out also, no problem.
No,
okay.
We can give become is equal to true. You already mentioned, right? So it means the methodology and the user will be the same sudo, right, or something different?
No. In this case, what's happening? I want to log into the remote machine as a remote user called DevOps, correct? Step number 1. And whether password is required or not, we mention it here. After that, once you log in to the remote machine as a DevOps, then whether you want to switch user yourself as a root or you want to do that one as a DevOps. If you say here false, right, is equal to, if I make it here false, it will try to do as a DevOps. You're getting the idea, right?
Got it, yeah.
If you say become user root, then if you make it this false, all these is useless, right? This setting is not required.
So by making this change in the command, when we run the command using shell module, the command to like creating the user, we don't have to use argument -b, right? Because we have given this entry in the configuration file itself.
That's what I'm trying to do now. So I'm making all this, then I'll go into that configuration file, remove one by one and see what's happening there. Okay. So this methods, what I'm trying to do now in this case, I want to insert it. Okay, insert already there. So I'm commenting out all these options, right? Step number 1, ask password, let it be. I'm making it as password is true. Insert. Sorry, it is already insert. TRUE true, right? Post key checking is not required. So as of now, write and quit. So cat your Ansible.cfg is having these entries. So what, according to this entry, what it is going to do, it is going to use this INI file, and it is going to use the remote user called DevOps and try to do some activity. So in this case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use remove this user become DevOps, right? I want to use the module called command, right? -a. I want to use or get only the ID part. Okay. At this point in time, I'm not supplying any username and password. So what it has to do, it has to connect to that remote machine and reading the configuration file. Since I have specified ask password is equal to true, it is now prompting the password of DevOps user. So I type DevOps password, and it is going to give me the DevOps ID details on both the machines. You're getting the idea? So even though I logged in as a student user, according to my Ansible.cfg file, which user it has to become, I mentioned it. If I want to become a different user, I can use you, let us say student. You're getting it? If I want to make a change other than the configuration details, then I can use -u. Now in my case, in all my previous cases, we mentioned user called DevOps. I do not want this one to be every time supplied as a command line option. So I'm modifying my configuration file in Ansible.cfg itself. Whenever I want to work with dev project, I want to use the remote user called as DevOps. In production, I might be using a different username. So instead of giving everything in a command line, I'm configuring it in my Ansible.cfg file. As a remote user, you wanted to connect as this particular user account. On that way, I'm able to get it. And if I'm trying to use a different user account, it is going to prompt me what is the SSH password. This time, it is asking me the password of the student, right? If I try to type DevOps, I'm typing the password of DevOps. Password incorrect. Okay, I'm typing one more time. This time it has to prompt me. I'm typing the student's password, student, and it is going to fetch me the student ID. You're getting the idea? So if you want to bypass the existing default value which is there in the Ansible.cfg, you can bypass it with -u option. If you don't supply this, it is going to use the username password has been mentioned in Ansible.cfg, and now I'm typing DevOps password. This time it is going to fetch the DevOps user details.
Shajahan, a quick question.
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting. Say, since you mentioned that we are given the privileges and the user details in the configuration file, that this belongs to DevOps. Is there any option we have? We can add a parameter can be passed out when it is checking for a password here. It can mention as a user, DevOps user password or student user password. Is there any other options we have that, or we don't?
As of now, we don't have. It is directly giving me the password only because it is using SSH passability as a special tool. On the background, what it is using, according to that tool, this is giving me give me the SSH password, a remote login password. That's it.
No,
it is not
okay. When it is prompting, we can mention which user password it's needed, right? So
yeah,
is there any options we have?
Yeah, that's what. That might be maybe they removed it because of a security weakness, right? Okay. It is revealing which user is being used for remote connectivity. Then if you know that username, now your guess is going to be only with the password, right?
Yeah.
So on that way, they might have removed it. That's why in username password detail also they never show, or if you have typed the username password wrong, they know you typed the username correct. Only the password is wrong. They'll never say your password is wrong. They will say username or password is wrong to make the attacker in the confusion mode.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now in this case, we got the user ID and other details. It is working fine because of this detail. So I'm going back to my config file, editing the config file. Right. Let me edit that one. This time I don't want to have this one to prompt me the password. So what I'm going to do it, insert, remove, ask password is going to be false. False, right? Escape, right, and quit. Then it is going to go ahead and execute without prompting the password. It will go and execute the command and ID and come out. But the problem when I'm trying to execute rather than this one, if I'm trying to use some other system related activity, then let us say system ctl stop sshd. This user is trying to do some command which is trying to stop the service as a DevOps user account. It is going to throw an error saying that you don't have privilege for that activity on the remote machine. Okay, so technically it is trying to execute that and do. It is still not responding. Okay, failed. Connection time dot SSHD service is not failed to stop. So technically it is not able to do that activity. So what I would like to do it now in this particular case, I would like to go ahead and edit this particular file. Right, become true. Become true. Let me try to those who are not from Linux background. Let us say I'm going into SSH DevOps at node 1. Right, now I logged in as user. So sometimes I may want to use this one as sudo. I don't want to become a different user, right? When you want to do sudo as what? So here -help, and this one itself you can have which user you want to become, right? You can become a different user also. Sudo, do this one as a different user also. We can give it, right? -u the username, right? We can use -u then the user ID also we can use it. So in that case, sudo as what? We can mention it as a root, or we normally what we do is we use sudo -i, right? So at this point in time, you are becoming the root and doing this activity. So I want to become true or false. First question. If you want to become, then what you want to do? That which method you want to use it? And in that case, they are giving us option called as control D. Okay. According to that one, they are giving me option. What is the method you want to use it? So whether first of all whether you want to become. If you want to become, what is the method? In case of a Linux, by default it is a sudo method. And if you want to become which user? You want to become as a different user and execute this command. For that, whether you want to prompt the password or not. Let us say in this case, I'm going ahead. I'm trying to remove this point. Right? It becomes true. And this one is not necessarily required as a sudo or method. Become a root, x, delete this one. And I'm making it up this one inserted with true. This time it should be prompting me the root password. I'm making it up true. Because on the remote machine, it is going to work as a root user account. So in that case, I'm going ahead and trying to do rather than stopping again ID. Okay. So this time it goes, it is asking become password. Because you want to become a privileged user, but it is not showing which user you are becoming. It is telling you are trying to become. As a user, you must know you are logged in or you're given there in the config file as a root privilege. Then I have to type the root password 123. Then this time it has to give me the root ID details on both the machines. Here, so it is connecting to the remote machine as become is actually connecting to DevOps user account. Then it is becoming root and executing command as a root.
Sajjan, I have a doubt.
Yes.
So when we give become equal to true, by default, does it become a root or do we need to mention? Because we have already, configured in the sudo's file to execute all commands, right? So
see in become, when you are trying to do sudo, at that time what happens? It is becoming as your user account, but running only the command with the escalated privilege, right?
Yeah.
So there still your user as DevOps.
Oh, okay.
So when you say become user root, then you want to become user which user? I want to become a user with a sudo's privilege as DevOps only, and I want to do it. Then you can do that one.
Okay. Now, previously we had given a command with a parameter -b, to become the root user. So we did not explicitly mention as root there, so that's why I just wanted to.
In SU command.
Yes.
SU hyphen. If you don't give any username, that default takes as root.
No, the other command in the etherpad.
Okay. Just a sec. So here, according to your doubt, what we are trying to do in this case, if I try to become, let us say, become method sudo, right? I want to use the method called as sudo, and I wanted to execute the command as it is as DevOps. This is also possible, right?
Can we comment that line like, oh, okay, fine. I mean, DevOps is okay. Do we need the become user line if we are using DevOps as the user?
Right, we can check it out. Not a problem there. Right, become true, become DevOps. Let us say become only. I'm using it now, so I'm adding the command shift. Okay, become DevOps. We'll remove it. Right, quit, and try to run the same command ID. This time become password. Again, I'm typing the DevOps password because the password prompt we enabled it. This is becoming what has happened. Ansible.cfg. Become true. Become sudo. Become user. By default, sudo itself is taking as a root. Let us try to remove this one. Right, quit, and run the same command again. Become password. I'm typing DevOps password. Now this time it is using DevOps only.
Okay.
Right. So when you are mentioning it, become, and this whether you want to become, if you don't mention it, it is by default.
The become user line, if it is not mentioned, it's always going to be root. Right?
Root.
Since we have configured in the sudo.
Yes.
And the become ask password, like that is also not required if it is going to be DevOps user. Right?
Yes.
The line.
Obviously.
And similarly, in the above default section, the ask pass and host key checking, if it is going to be DevOps user, we don't need to mention those two lines as well.
Yes. But this is to file safe with other machines also.
Okay, fine.
So I'm bringing back to the default setting. Right. So we do have now sudo method enabled, become a root, and don't ask password everywhere or anywhere. Just type right quit and now try to run with ID. It should come with root ID as a reply. Okay. So now what is your task? At Ansible.cfg enable with these settings. So now we extended or expanded our settings with these methods, and in this one we understood what has happened also. So this is the last task you people have to do it, and finally check task update Ansible.cfg with what is that? User and user DevOps with become privilege or with sudo privilege.
Hi Shaja. So by this entry host key checking equal to false, we know that it is not going to check for the host key check, right?
Yes.
Even though if we'll do the first time login. But ideally when we do the first time login, shouldn't the host key checking be there? So
Yes,
it is like a key we are
yes, that's what
setting
it is
by
required.
default by that.
It is required. Okay, so what is the suggestion? If you want to have it secured environment without this key, make it true, then proceed. If it is kind of a dev or testing environment, you can proceed without that.
Okay, so false it basically means giving a yes to that entry,
yes.
right? Okay.
Don't do, proceed without checking that host strictly. Right? Don't match with the host key.
Okay,
then
it's like
proceed.
it's not even checking that
Yes.
and directly giving access to the user.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That is whether it is a trusted host or not. That is doubtful. If you say false here.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Finally, execute this command and see whether people are able to get the reply. Okay. So that's it. Now we have worked with Ansible.cfg file and we work with certain basic commands with Ansible. Tomorrow we'll go ahead and try to understand on ad hoc commands. Work with ad hoc commands also. Then go ahead and start writing after understanding YAML and start working playbooks. Tomorrow onwards we start working with Ansible playbooks.
Shahjahan, I'm getting there.
Yes. Yeah, please share the screen. Very good. Unable to connect. Permission denied. Okay, in this one defaults. Inventory prototype remote underscore user false. Remote underscore user, which user you want to use? DevOps, right? That's
Yeah, DevOps,
false. So you change it to DevOps. Remote user DevOps. Okay, now.
Yeah, sure.
Great. So that's it for the day.
Thank you.
Queries and other things we will carry it tomorrow. Because I have to
Shahjahan,
join in one more session. Yes, yes, please.
I'm getting one warning.
Okay, very good. Share quickly.
Okay.
Okay. Plugin section included undefined group API. App, I think you have mentioned group name wrong. Cat inventory file. Pro.ini. API, there you mentioned as app.
Okay.
Typo. Okay, that's it for the day. Anyhow, we'll summarize tomorrow morning and then continue from there. Shall I stop recording?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Thanks.